safada sem vergonha, vai sentando na pica doida de maconha. Presta atenção que o bagulho é doidão. Trava essa puta quicando safada. Senta malvada, quica malvada. Trava na ponta da pica e não para. Senta malvada, quica malvada. Trava na ponta da pica e não para. Senta malvada, quica malvada. Trava na ponta da pica e não para. Ai, senta no meu palhaço, vai senta no palhação. Vai, senta no meu palhaço, vai senta no palhação.
Naquele pique, só couro brabo, me chamam de proibido, porque eu vicio rápido. Combinação perfeita, sexo, cerveja e maconha. A novinha viciou, tá tudo curtindo a onda. Naquele pique, só couro brabo, me chamam de proibido, porque eu vicio rápido. Combinação perfeita, sexo, cerveja e maconha. A novinha viciou, tá tudo curtindo a onda.
Só socadinha, você tá dando vinho. Só socadinha, você tá dando. Só socadinha, você tá dando vinho. Só socadinha, você tá dando. Só socadinha, você tá dando vinho. Só socadinha, você tá dando.
Esse é o DJ Holanda, tá lançando a nova moda.
É o DJ Holanda, imã de piranha.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. That's right, a day shift, okay? Can't go live this evening, so I thought might as well do something in the day. I don't know who's exactly going to be available during the day, but that's okay. We're going to probably make more progress than we've ever made in our lives on the John Searka and Andrew Wilson debate. And John Searka is in the chat, and he's going to be coming up, so that's cool. Get to react alongside with him. And good to see you, Anson, of course, who's already nagging me in the chat. I understand. It's good to see you, Anson. And of course, it's good to see you, John Searka. I will load this up and yeah, see. And no, we are not. We're like an hour in. Okay, it's been, this is the third stream. We made it a whole hour. Okay, which I think is like a new personal record, personally. So I think that's like pretty cool. Yeah, who cares about that communist? That's true. Who cares about him? Okay, let me remember how to share my screen. Oh, yes, and as well, I'm not used to a day shift, but as usual, the link is pinned at the top. This is an open panel, so it's also in the description. So you too can react alongside with us. So far, what do you think? I don't think, unpopular take, but I don't think you're doing a bad job, Searka. Okay, don't tell anyone else I said that, because I think it's been going good so far. I don't see anyone getting like destroyed. I think it's like so far, seems like a good discussion, so I don't really see, I don't know. I mean, unless you like absolutely fall on your face past the hour and a half mark, which is perfectly possible, but so far it hasn't happened. There's been, I think, some minor things that I would point out on both sides, but like, I feel like you could do that with any debate, really, I think there's a bit of getting lost in the weeds, and maybe you could explain exactly what's happening. I mentioned this before. I don't think you were here last time. When we're bouncing around between like Paxton and Griffin and Gentile, and then we're talking about syndicalism and stuff. At a certain point, I'm like, how does this all tie back into, is Trump a fascist? Like, why do we have to look at the corporatism of fascist Italy to figure out if Trump is a fascist now? I mean, maybe you can tie that together. But in your opening, you were talking about the fascist minimum, and that's defined by palingenetic ultranationalism. So then why do we need the corporatism? Is that just to like bolster your argument? Is that just like are you kind of just making a Frankenstein of like all of these definitions and trying to do it? That's what I'm not exactly sure. I said it would be an unpopular take. Okay. I said it would be an unpopular take, but I'm just trying to, yeah, well, that's the thing. So I guess, corporatism is not necessary. That's the thing. So if it's just palingenetic ultranationalism, if that's the fascist minimum, then I guess why go down like a half an hour rabbit hole of like defining corporatism, looking into Gentile and trying to figure out, if like how that applies to Trump, and I don't know. Also, Andrew, we're not at a point if he gives a definition of fascism yet. I don't know if he'll eventually do that or what. And yes, if you're using it as a diagnostic and you're looking at each thing and you're saying, does it meet this criterion? Does it meet this criterion? But that seems more similar to that other guy that had like the 14, laws, not laws, but, symptoms of fascism. Like if you're trying to build a syndrome and you're looking at individual symptoms, then I get that. But if the argument is the fascist minimum, then I don't get why you would talk about anything besides the palingenetic ultranationalism, if that makes sense. Yeah, Umberto, or however you say it. And I know you said you're not like a big fan of him. So then, I don't know. Like, are we doing like a point system? Like, is this like a DSM thing where you have to like meet like 5 out of like 9 criteria, and then if you meet any 5, you're fascist? Or are we just going with the fascist minimum from Griffin? Or are we like doing kind of both? So you're saying to reinforce my claim. So you're okay. So if I understand right, you're starting off at the fascist minimum, and you're saying this is all I have to prove. But then you're saying, well, these are other to bolster the claim of this. We're doing this, but I don't know. Like if the whole would it not have been better? I mean, obviously hindsight is 2020, and obviously this is just a question. But would it have not been better to see if Andrew would agree that the palingenetic ultranationalism is fascistic, and then just prove that? But I guess maybe you would say that the palingenetic part is more like easier to prove, the punting to like a mythic past and the rebirth narratives and all that. That's probably the easier one. The harder one, I guess, is proving that Trump is ultra nationalistic. And I guess to prove the ultra nationalistic, you need, I guess, the cluster of symptoms to create the syndrome of ultra nationalism. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Good to see you, first timer. How'd you find me in the day? Wonder what Searka is going to, almost called him the wrong name. Wonder if Searka is going to say when Trump doesn't actually do any fascist shit and steps down after this term again, just like he did last time. That's true. Just like when he peacefully stepped down without trying to do any chicanery. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, Steve Bannon's talking about that third term, man. I don't know, but Bannon is like Trump said, fuck that guy, right? So, but Bannon has been kind of saying some wild stuff. What up, section 230? Glad someone else joined the chat. I blocked leftists and annoying people, so I was lonely. If you watch the debate, well, look, section 230. If he's a good boy, he hasn't finished it, okay? Because you're supposed to be watching it with me, okay? All of you. You're not supposed to be pre-watching. We'll get through it eventually, inshallah, okay? And we are, if you think about it, an hour and 11 minutes in. And I know this seems bad, but again, I think a lot of this is like super chats and stuff. Like even this is super chats here. Like I'm not really sure if they're responding to super chats or at what point they do. Searka, how long was the debate before you started talking about super chats? Because I know Easy is pulling chats up as you go, but what's just like where the debate ends? Is it like when this timer goes down? Because then we only have like an hour and a half left. Possible to like knock it out today. How can you be on my panel but also block me? What the heck? Okay, so yeah, so it's an hour and a half left. So it's possible. I mean, unlikely, but it's possible to knock it out today. Yeah, because I don't want are the super chats good? Because then maybe I would like skip from the super chats to the Q&A. Because I don't the super chats, I understand the stuff, but like, did anything good come out of that? Or can I get away with mainly watching the 245? And then skipping to the Q&A. Yeah, that's what you said. You said, the Q&A is the super chats. Oh yeah, I guess. I was thinking about the open panel for some reason when you said Q&A. So that's why. Jacob, how's it going? Jacob, can you hear me?
Sorry, I wasn't hearing you. What'd you say?
I said, hi, Jacob. How's it going? And then I said, Jacob, can you hear me?
I could not, but now I can.
Great. We're going to be going through this debate with none other than John Searka himself. He looks a little different, but
are we? Is it possible for me to hijack your stream?
no, because we under most circumstances, especially during the day, yes, but we have the guy who was in the debate who's going to be joining to talk about this specific debate. So yeah, we got the man himself. We got John Searka in the chat who's going to be joining. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but unfortunately, in the term of not being able to talk about something else.
Okay. No, I mean if he's here, he's here. Let's go.
Yeah.
What is this debate?
So this debate was between Andrew Wilson. Are you familiar with Andrew Wilson? Probably. Nope. Oh no. Oh, you blessed soul, you sweet summer child, Jacob. Okay. Andrew Wilson is part of the Crucible. He is a kind of a debate guy who goes on the whatever podcast a lot, does his own stuff. He was recently on Joe Rogan. His wife was recently on Joe Rogan. He's really kind of stepping up the pace. He's a very Orthodox Christian and very
Orthodox Christian. I doubt very much he's a very Orthodox Christian.
Well, yeah, I guess it depends on your definition, perhaps, but he will talk about the Orthodox Christianity stuff a lot. He is very much gender issues, not red pill. He's definitely not red pill, but he's in red pill adjacent. It starts to be a little bit kind of similar at a certain point with some of the stuff, but
okay, I am caring less and less about this Wilson guy. Who's the guy who's actually going to jump on?
So John Searka is going to be jumping on, and he is studied in econometrics, although he didn't finish his degree. He is kind of in the center, and he thinks that Trump is a fascist. Andrew Wilson thinks absolutely not.
He's in the center, but he thinks Trump is a fascist.
He says he's in the center, I think. I mean, he's a little bit on the left. I mean, between you and me, Jacob, he's definitely a little bit on the left.
But by the way, if somebody wants to kick me off and Khan won't do it for $75, go right ahead and go to my channel. Give me $50. Give me $25. Hell, give me $5 and I will leave.
Don't do that. No. All the money's supposed to be flowing this way.
Okay. So if you give,
he says he's an independent, but I mean, where does that put him on a political compass?
I mean, okay. So did they define fascist yet? I mean, how long?
I'll get you caught up. I mean, Searka's going to join and maybe say everything I said is wrong. But so Searka started with his main thing is a scholar named Griffin. Okay, I can't remember his first name, and he has something called the fascist minimum, which is kind of like the minimum threshold where we would call something fascist, and it's defined by something called palingenetic ultranationalism. So ultranationalism, right, is a kind of, I guess, easy enough to think about. Nationalism, but super duper nationalism, and the palingenetic part is punting to a mythic past, a halcyon time with an idea of rebirth. So stuff with the Nazis, how they wanted the Third Reich, and they're looking back to what Germany used to be, or in Italy where they're hearkening back to the Roman Empire, right, and how they could be great again and stuff. And so he's tying that into Trump's "Make America Great Again" and the language he uses. Stuff about, and then so that's kind of the basis, the fascist minimum.
I have to look up this Griffin guy. Who's this Griffin guy? What's his name?
I can if you just type Griffin fascism, he's gonna show up. I can't remember his first. Roger Griffin. Okay. So palingenetic ultranationalism is the big thing, the big term that we were using at the start. And then on top of that, to bolster that, he's using kind of a cluster of symptoms to create a syndrome that he is calling fascism, basically. So he's also punting into things like syndicalism and corporatism and these other things that are related to fascism. Permission structures. Okay, there's a lot of terms. There's a lot of terms I've been forced to learn through this debate. Okay. And so he would look
at least this Griffin guy has a PhD in from Oxford University in history. so he might actually know something. But
he is a scholar. He is a legit scholar of fascism. Yeah, but
scholar of fascism already makes you not a legit scholar.
Okay, that's crazy. that's crazy. But good to see you, Alex.
What's up?
But no, what I would say is like even Griffin, and Searka can correct me if I'm wrong, because I was told this by a couple of other people. Even Griffin himself doesn't think that Trump meets the criteria for fascism. So Searka is kind of taking this guy and kind of using a few other people and then like kind of tying this web. So right now we're at the point where he's pointing out stuff like that when Trump said that immigrants and stuff, or certain immigrants, are poisoning the blood of our nation, or when he talks about the people being vermin, and he's saying that these are kind of permission structures for people to do untoward things to one another. Okay, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
Like calling half
lobster,
the country...
Good to see you, damn it. Basket of deplorables, is that what you're going to say?
Deplorables. Say, like, Biden's speech where he talked about MAGA Republicans and basically and everything that the left has been doing and murdering, like making it easy to murder Republicans in the United States. Oh, that type of fascism?
Yeah, but I will say, I like to be just honest, even though like obviously I'm on the right. I would still say that poisoning the blood of our nation and talking about vermin and stuff, that is worse than the basket of deplorable comments. They're both bad, but when you're comparing people to vermin and stuff and talking about poisoning the blood of our nation, those are a little spooky. If we're being honest, Jacob, but they're a little spooky.
You can play Biden's MAGA Republican speech where he's on this dark, like, that was the most fascist thing I have ever seen from a U.S. president. You know the speech with the Marines behind him and the red. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's like that isn't a fascist speech. I know plenty of definitions of fascism. You can give and take. Frankly, I think that an economic analysis of what fascism is a much better one. And Trump isn't the fascist when you're looking at how the politics of the wealthy is influencing and dominating our government. That's fascism. That's fascism. I think
that's like the. Are you talking about like the corporatism aspect?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's
the
one.
Democrats are the fascists here. There's no question in my mind.
I think, I think it depends how we're defining fascism. Exactly. I guess. Well, first of all, let me say hi to Zephyr and see if anyone else needs to be said hi to. Well, first of all, let me drag Alex into this. Alex, how are you doing today? Alex might be gone. Well, hi, Abe. Yes, I was on late and I'm going early. You had a what?
I had an AIDS conversation last night, but yeah, I'm good.
Hey, I had an AIDS conversation last night too. Were we in the same conversation? That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Good to see Frankie.
You were actually a part of it, I think.
Look, a lot of
AIDS
stuff
on your lips, man. Gotta watch out.
I know. Alex, you didn't see the end, did you? You didn't see the end.
I did not.
Oh, and you never will, because I cut it, because holy shit.
That turned out bad or what?
Oh my! You don't even know. You can't even begin to guess. And I'll tell you later.
Let me see it. All right. Yeah.
I had to cut it. There was like way too many like.
Who went on
like? Well, I'm not gonna say, but I'll tell you in DMs later. Tell you in DMs later. But there's a lot of stuff going on. I had to nuke it for about probably 4 different reasons, but
I'm not
I just shaved the end off. So, I circumcised the last little bit of the.
Sometimes when there's some excess skin, you just got to get rid of it, right?
Exactly. Hey, this is what I've always said. Okay.
It's like when you get cut and you have some of that flappy skin sitting there. You know, just mix some words and catch it on something.
Yeah. Well, you don't want that. But okay, Jacob. Besides the circumcision talk, so would you at least agree before Searka gets here? I guess I'm going to try to run Searka's. I'm going to pretend to be Searka for a second. Okay, so if we look at the palingenetic part, do you at least think that Trump would match onto that?
I still don't know what the word palingenetic means.
It is. I think it's coined by Griffin, so it's like kind of like a special vocabulary word. But it means, like I said, it's like harkening back to like a halcyon time or some like utopic vision of the.
Yes,
of the
fascism
past.
is reactionary.
Well, it's not solely reactionary though. It's using like a mythic structure that never really existed necessarily. Like think about like Nazi Germany, how they're like the glory days of Germany, right? The Second Reich, and now we're going to bring in the Third Reich.
Reactionaries. I mean, the Protestant Restoration, right, went back to a Jesus who never existed. Yes. That is what reactionaries
but we're talking. But with them, it's not just reactionary though. Like,
it's not about being reactionary. It's about blaming everything that's currently happening in one group, and then pointing to some mythical past that didn't actually exist, as if it was like the golden spot of all history, and then saying that group is the one that like destroyed everything or took it all away from you, and we want to go back to it, right? In this case, it would be immigrants and the left, basically.
What is this mythical past that Trump supposedly tells us we're going to go back to?
Well, that's kind of a contention, but
where everyone had jobs, everyone had respect, everyone could blah blah blah. Like it's this idea that everyone was really happy in the past.
So there was
no problems.
Do you actually believe that most MAGA people who are voting for Trump remember a time or think of a time
there was no time
when everyone was happy?
There was no time. I think it's just like right, but that's days.
That's why it's a mythic. That's why it's a mythic kind of structure. There wasn't necessarily a time, but obviously there was a time when you could like afford a house on like a single income and stuff, and now we need two incomes. And there was a time when America had more cultural homogeneity and stuff. Like we can point to times. Now they had their own unique problems, of course. That's where the mythos of it gets built up. But I mean, even the slogan, obviously, "Make America Great Again," means there was a time in the past where America was great, and we need to go back to that time, whatever time that is. Maybe it's early 1900s. In a scary world, maybe it's the antebellum South. I'm not sure.
For most people, that time was either some time in their childhood where they just didn't know what the issues were in the world, or some time where they were surrounded by people that they knew and everyone was doing well in their circle, right? It's not like everyone has the same time.
Well, your guess is here.
Yeah, I just want to make sure this is clear, guys. Palingenesis does not mean literally go back in time. That's not what the definition means. You can't separate them. I've said this a million times. Okay, Roger Griffin spends like fucking 15 pages detailing ultranationalism and then detailing what palingenesis is to it, and then he literally says these two are like two lenses that come together so you can see something like a telescope. So you cannot separate them. And it doesn't mean literally go
when
back
you say that, because I read in Griffin where he says they are separate, and then he says in the fascist minimum they can't be. They can't be.
Themselves obviously exist separately. That is obvious.
Okay. Well, that sounded like you said you can't separate them. For the fascist minimum, sure.
You cannot separate them.
Sure.
It doesn't make sense then.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Actually arguing with sentences rather than just like words.
Yeah, what if Searka just came on and just said word by word?
Let me address something real quick.
I just want to know what it means, though. Okay, the mythical.
Even if I have PDS, it's because it might be because I know more than you. Sorry.
It doesn't mean that they want to go back to Rome. That's never the plan. Okay.
But they're using that halcyon time to punt into a better future, right?
You're trying to use this as you're trying to say that like the past is what they want to use as the mythical thing, right? So that's not true. What actually happens is there are groups of people in the U.S. Okay, that can be mobilized by passions, which is why Paxton's relevant here. Okay, the reason I keep bringing up other scholars is because, in my opinion, using Griffin's fascist minimum only cannot diagnose whether Trump is a fascist. I wanted to use everyone's contributions on it to try and make a framework, which I think is probably the best way to do it, instead of just trying to argue the fascist minimum qualifies them, because I don't think it's enough. So that's why I decided to continue on and do more things. But the fascist minimum is just the thing that is underlying in every fascist movement. That's all it is.
Okay, but how is what I'm saying? What am I getting wrong if I'm saying it's using a halcyon time? And it's not necessarily trying to go back there, but it's trying to go forward into the future. I understand they're trying to make something new. And so like the Third Reich is going to be different than the Second Reich, but they're using that mythical past and galvanizing the people to move into the future.
Okay, so it actually is not really about that past. This mythical core is a group of people within the country again, right? Think Christian nationalists. So Christian nationalists think that the United States was founded not just in Christian principles, which it was, but like Christian governance, right? And the mythical past there is not literally the founding for them, even though they'll argue on it and say that the founding fathers, they'll pick a few who are absolutely people who wanted to like advance that, right? And wanted to do that. But what it really is about is there is a identity in the country that can be mobilized. Okay. And they think of themselves as a mythical core of one organism. So they think of themselves now as an organism. So the nation becomes like a cell, a living cell. And this idea gets embodied inside of a leader. So like the reason I mentioned like Trump being divinely, I was divinely saved by God to continue this destiny. So that mythical group, the core group who thinks of the nation as a mythical organism, like a mythical, the golden era is a part of it, but they think of themselves as a whole organism that has a destiny. So Christian nationalism is a mobilized idea for a lot of people, right? Because they are advancing this idea of the nation over the state. They're tying themselves emotionally to it. So it's not really about like, look, Rome was cool. They had really cool fucking, sticks with axes on them. It's more about that group identity just being mobilized about what they think the nation's supposed to be. That's what the mythical core is. And then the reason this is dangerous is because when you start thinking of the nation as an organism, you start being extremely binary, because dissent is contamination. That's why I keep bringing that up.
That's why if you are talk. That's why
if you are like a cellular organism, right, and like you have a disease, the only thing for you to do is eliminate it. That is the problem here. Whereas liberalism, it tolerates dissent. It tolerates losing for a bit. Fascism cannot do that. Fascism is, we need radical action. We need to get rid of conservatives if need be. We need to get rid of people who disagree with the movement. So the movement becomes, this is where the political liturgy comes in, because the political liturgy is the ritualization of politics. So in order to actually achieve this, elimination aspect, like if you want to get rid of the vermin, you need to glorify the violence in some way and make.
How are you using liberalism? How are you using liberalism?
Classical liberalism.
Classical. So you would say progressives aren't liberals?
No, I'm not using the modern colloquial
Correct.
Stupid.
They would not be liberals.
Okay. I mean, so far it sounds like I would agree with him that there are elements of fascism, if that's how you want to call it, both on the right and on the left in the United States. It seems to me the progressives.
Where? I'm not saying it can't happen. My point is that in the U.S. right now, I have no idea what you're talking about. Communists can be very violent as well, man.
Anybody who talks about our democracy as opposed to what?
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
No, that's what I am saying. I am saying people who talk about our democracy, right, today, that it seems to fit exactly with what you were talking about, having this halcyon mythical past where we were, as Americans, had democracy, and now it's Trump and his MAGA Republicans who are threatening our democracy. Our democracy is going to die in darkness, and we have to get rid of this.
Squares and circles.
The difference is the left thinks the best part is the best is in the future, not in the past. Whereas the Republicans seem to use the past as a justification for getting We're going back
Searka,
there in the future. It's
Searka,
not,
would you
it's not
say
the same? That's why we don't typically call people fascists when they're communists, and communists when they're fascists.
would you Zerka, would you say at least that the Dems can meet the palingenetic part?
No.
Like when we talk about when like Kamala says like we're unburdened, we want to be unburdened by what has been. Is that not kind of like a rebirth kind of narrative?
No, not even close.
No,
Okay.
rebirth.
You know,
My biggest criticism.
You're trying to go back.
My biggest criticism with like Obama, for instance, is that one of the reasons we're in. You know, Bernie Sanders is someone who actually acknowledges the people in this country who are suffering, right? So in order to fit the ultra nationalist palingenesis, okay, you need to have a story of decline, humiliation, degeneracy. So those are all very important. There is no Democrat who literally acknowledged the decline. I mean, Obama, one of my biggest complaints about him is that he always, no matter what, was like, America's doing fucking great. I mean, on his campaign trail, you can find one or two quotes where he's like, you know, we need change, blah, blah. But Obama, for the most part, never even acknowledged the part of the country that is suffering. Trump did. So did Bernie. That's why they're populist, because this country is suffering in a way, right? So that part of the narrative is important. The decline, the humiliation, the degeneracy, and then the restoration, the revenge, the retribution, and the justice, okay?
I feel like you're kind of describing.
Hold on. Can I translate just for a second? Hold on. Can I translate just for a second?
Who are you talking about?
Let me translate just for a second, okay?
Joe Biden with Kamala Harris ran on.
Bro, Joe Biden has the charisma of a burnt potato chip.
So
how can he embody a fucking leader principle?
So charisma is inherent in fascism, you think?
Yes.
That's not in the fascistic minimum, Zerka. According to Griffin, if you think about it.
Let me talk, okay? If you want me to explain this to you, I can explain it to you, okay? So Hitler, not really charismatic, but he did embody all the ideas that I was just mentioning. So it's not actually the leader who needs to do that. It is they become imbued with that mythical nation aspect. So there's a group of people in the country that are doing this. It's not really Trump or, you know, Hitler or fucking Mussolini. They just tap into people who do feel that way. So like when it came to Trump, he mobilizes a certain identity in this country that does feel this way, as in the country's declined completely. There's no hope. It's existential. It's humiliating. And he's like, I will be your retribution. They imbue this into him. There's no way you can tell me Biden is like imbued with progressives humiliation, bro. That is insane.
But how? I'm just trying to then I guess explain.
Pull up the picture. Like pull up the picture of Biden with his arms and the Marines behind him talking about MAGA Republicans and how he was going to destroy MAGA Republicans. It's perfectly what you're describing.
And what about all the like we need to be anti-racist? The country is like poisoned with white supremacy. All this stuff.
100%.
Please make a point, please.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Okay. So the difference.
Noah bring machine lies into this
from
because
what I
he
can
hasn't said
tell,
anything.
the difference that he's trying to point out is in fascism, the story is of this decline of the nation from something that was great into something that's miserable. And
it doesn't have to be something real, though. Just
then,
point that
when
out.
I say that, then Zerka's like, it's not actually about the past.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
I'm saying the story is that, okay?
Or what the Democrats typically do is they say the past was horrific and terrible, and these people want to hold us there or undo the progress we've made.
Not when
so
Democrats.
Hold on, let me finish.
Oh, I thought you were done.
Democrats seem to see the past as the worst, and Republicans seem to see the past as the best.
So I think that's monolithic. Okay, they're like the 1619
Obviously
project.
It's monolithic. I'm just talking
there are
about
definitely progressives who do what you just said. Like the 1619 project from that one school where the fucking section of that school in the history department wrote that crazy fucking book about slavery, and I think that would apply there, right? And you're right. A lot of communism does not apply to fascism because communism cares nothing about the past. Communism is like, the future is all that matters. They literally want to fucking eat the past into the trash bin of history almost, and that's not really the same mobilization. If I'm just to continue off with that Alexander.
Yeah, it's just what they're thinking of is just different, right?
What
Like,
about
Christians
the
want to go
ones
back
What
to
mobilizes them
what
is
about
different.
the ones who idealize what happened in the 60s and the civil rights movement and think that that was the best of this country that's been destroyed by this
you're correct. This is something you want to be correct on. Let me tell you how it's not happening, though, okay? Because these people are not being mobilized. I have no idea that we can say that there's some MAGA movement type of 1960s progressives who are like imbuing into a leader what that idea is. And it could happen,
Bernie
though.
Sanders.
What you just said is true, though. Someone could come along.
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders does not do that.
Okay, what about?
Okay, I want to humiliating.
I want to ask something.
He does not describe it as.
What about the Dems? What about in like 2028? Then do you predict that under your definition of fascism, we're going to see fascism now from the DNC? Because now they think that Trump has stacked the institutions and he's gutted everything. And so now you would think that they would be messaging on rebirth and wanting to go back to the time and undo the poisoning that Trump has done. Like, why would that?
They don't think the past was good enough.
I'm going to be honest.
They don't think the past was good enough.
Happening that way.
All they want.
No, I'm not saying necessarily now.
In the future.
No, but I'm saying
that's why we call people conservatives. They want to conserve what's going on. Right?
Yes, but in this unique stance,
tradition and see it as a good thing.
In this unique stance, though, Alex,
tradition out the fucking door,
I understand,
right?
but that's like binary, though. And I'm saying in this unique time, because Trump has done all of this stuff, and the Dems see Trump as having ruined everything and ruined foreign relationships and ruined the domestic policy and done all this stuff,
that would
right?
Ruin the definition of fascism.
Hold on,
I think
hold on.
Meaningless.
Complex, do you think they want to go back to what it was before, or do you think they want to make it something different now?
You can't just say it's not without saying why it's not.
Compliments.
I mean,
do you think they want to go back to what it was before, or make it even better now?
Yeah, but that's the same with the Nazis. The Nazis didn't want to go back. They wanted to rebirth in a better way. That's why it's the Third Reich. They don't want to go back to previous Reichs.
Do the Democrats want to destroy the state and sacralize this idea of what you're talking about into the nation sacralize into a new state? Is that going to happen?
I don't think Trump wanted to sacrifice the state either, though.
Trump is definitely on his way to sacralize the nation.
Sacralize.
Make sacred. That's what it means.
Yeah, I thought you said sacrifice.
Let me read you some mobilizing passions right now. Okay, this is Paxton's page 219. Okay, so Paxton is the historical side of this, where he doesn't disagree. I mean, he does disagree with Griffin in a way. He doesn't reject it like that one fucking weirdo said. He just takes a different path. Okay, so mobilizing passions for Paxton, and if this sounds familiar to you, then I mean, it'll probably be familiar to a bunch of different groups, but just think of what this is supposed to mean, and it means a group of people that can be mobilized. It's not like if you hear this and make a reference or you make a relation, it's automatically fascism, but just think of people who might fit these in the country, okay? So one of them is a sense of overwhelming crisis beyond the reach of any traditional solutions. So existential threat requires justification that is extreme, radical, right? And then the primacy of the group toward which one has duty superior to every right, whether individual or universal, and the subordination of the individual to it. The next one would be the belief that one's group is a victim, a sentiment that justifies any action without legal or moral limits against its enemies, both internal and external. Dread of the group's decline under the corrosive effects of individualistic liberalism, class conflict, and alien influences. The need for closer integration of a pure community by consent, if possible, or by exclusionary violence, if necessary. The need for authority by natural chiefs, always male, culminating in a national chieftain who alone is capable of incarnating this group's historical destiny. So that's the imbued part, okay?
A lot of these sound like the left, Searka. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's our democracy. Defend
I just
our
told
democracy.
you, this does not mean automatically fascism. These are just mobilizing passions. This is what Paxton describes as people who could be mobilized.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the left could be mobilized under what you just said, I think.
Because fascism does use left-wing and right-wing ideology. Again, famously Mussolini, promised free working men syndicates during his rise to corporatism, right? Institutional bargaining. But famously, after getting reformist vote, he was like, I don't care about you, fuck you, right after they took power. Just no fucking labor strike capability, complete suppression of labor bargaining power, right? So fascism will mobilize people in an effort to get power. As I mean, especially if you imbue it into one dude who's opportunistic. Okay. The next
Bernie
one would
Sanders.
be. I mean, Bernie Sanders to me is a populist, and I don't think we could diagnose him as a fascist right now, right? Like,
It seems like your definition fits him perfectly.
no, it
Except
doesn't.
he wasn't successful.
Has he mobilized people to do?
How does
You're
it
right.
fit
He
in
hasn't
perfectly?
been successful. He's a failed fascist. You're right.
No.
Hold on. You realize the difference is that fascists want to restore something to the way it was.
Yeah, the spirit.
No,
of
Bernie
60s.
Sanders wants to move on from all of this entirely.
No,
The thing is, Bernie
Zerka
Sanders-
keeps saying that's not true. That fascism
Bernie-
doesn't
no,
want to
Bernie-
restore.
It does. Yeah, the past is not in the interest of a fascist. The fascist actually wants the future. They
Even
just
though the literal
utilize-
word is
No. The
palingenesis. I mean, why is it? Why would we have that word if that's not?
Stop
Sounds a little
It's
crazy to me.
using the word in isolation.
Yeah.
My God, bro. Do I have to pull up Roger Griffin's fucking book again and show you on
I
screen?
read the passage.
just
I read the
because-
relevant
just because Roger
passages.
Griffin
Okay.
phrases
Literally
it that
said-
way.
Thanks to
It literally
Cure because he wanted to
says
hide stuff
two
from
lenses.
us, Zerka.
He says literally, I quote, two lenses that come together. If you take them apart, it is worthless. I'm not kidding. So you can't just take it in isolation.
What are the
It's
two
really
components that you think have to
We
be
still
met?
have to define.
Because
It's still
it
not
seems
fair
like
for
in
me to say
every
this is
single
palingenesis
fascist
and you're saying
rhetoric-
no, you can't separate it. That's fine,
in
but it
every
still is
single-
palingenesis.
Every single time someone has referred to fascist
he's
rhetoric,
right.
they're
I
talking
think
about
he's-
restoring a lost past in
Okay.
every one I've ever seen.
Okay, both
Yes.
of you aren't
I'm
listening.
not saying
to
that that's
You're
ultimately what they
misunderstanding
do.
The mythical nature of this, okay? It's
I'm
not
just
that
saying
the lost
that's what
past
they
is-
talk about.
I mean, yeah, because it mobilizes some identity a little, but in reality,
Sure.
fascism is not about that past. It's about the myth, because the myth requires faith, and then that is how the politics become ritual, like a church. Because
Our
when a myth
democracy.
is at play, it's all faith-based politics. That's why it becomes existential. That's why it becomes all these other things. So
Yeah.
Listen
it's not,
to anybody
you can't just like
who
keep
talks
thinking about it
our
about the
democracy.
past. It's not Rome.
Hold on.
Some use
What-
of Rome, though.
What have people said about our democracy that you think makes them want to restore some lost past?
They want to restore our democracy, which is
Okay, we
threatened
gotta-
by the MAGA
we-
Republicans.
We
Yeah, I
got to
think
bring
we should-
Machine
but
in.
here,
I
I'll
said
do it-
Machine
I'll do it
got
like
to
this.
speak
I'll do it like
ages
this,
ago.
okay?
Let's
I don't
let
think-
Machine
I
say
think you're
something.
just basically
Let's let
let me
Machine
ask-
step
Let me
in.
ask Jacob
but
something real fast.
fine.
Let me ask Jacob something.
Okay, but fast because
Yeah,
I
appreciate
do want Machine to come in.
Yeah, I
Jacob, do you
appreciate
think this country has experienced degeneracy over the past 50 years? As in,
Me, no.
we are degenerating.
Me, no. I don't
No
think so.
decline. You don't think that like culture war stuff, like trans ideology, all that is degenerative?
No, I don't.
Are you?
I
okay with
think people
ideology?
perceive that. I think they're wrong.
Okay. Do you? How about this? Do you think that people do believe it is degenerative?
There's definitely people who believe both
Do you
left
think
and
those
right.
people could be mobilized because of that very idea?
Yes, there's definitely people who've been mobilized because of that idea.
Has Trump played into that to mobilize? those
Definitely,
people?
Trump is one of the people who's played into that. Yes.
Okay, so that is a mobilized passion right there. And it doesn't have to be one. I'm just
Yeah.
going to keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be one. But these people have an idea of what the nation's supposed to be, and it's not trans ideology. Trump knows that when he speaks to them at rallies, right? He notices the ebb and flow of how people are mobilized this way.
You've
Trump
created
Eager to play into it.
you have definitely created a definition which can apply to Trump. I think what's important is to realize that both
does it
the
apply to me?
definition you've created and
How does
the
it apply to me?
danger that you are pointing
We are going in. Land the plane, Jacob,
more
and
to the
then
left than to the
Machine talks next.
How does it apply to Bernie?
Okay, wait, Machine, your thoughts. He's been sitting here in silence for like 5 minutes, so let's
Yeah, I
speak.
appreciate you. Yeah, because this is like, kind of like my first time here, but I appreciate the debate between Searka and, and Andrew. But I think that fascism is kind of hard to define. Like as Alul says, in the book, The Technological Society, because I was just reading it, on our show the other day, he's kind of a specialist on the issue.
Who?
And he says that
Who?
Jacques Alul, right, who wrote about like fascism and communism and all this.
It is really difficult to define. I'm going to agree with you there for sure.
Yeah. He said that actually Lenin, that Hitler learned from Lenin, then Stalin learned from Hitler. So there's kind of a crossover between in terms of their political methodologies and techniques, right? And especially the main point that he was making in the book was sort of the centralization of power, especially in the industrial frame. So I think the centralization of power in terms of technology, right? The centralization of industrial power. I think that's
modernity
more,
is really important for fascism as well. They love modernity in the future in that way. They're
exactly. So
adaptive.
that kind of offsets this idea of palingenesis that you're sort of referring to, is this idea of going back into the past, but there's also this idea of futurism that's involved there that can sort of.
Griffin also talks about this a lot. He has like two books on it and then an article on it of the modernity of fascism and how fascism can present in like the modern world. And it is extremely difficult to diagnose someone as a fascist in the modern way, partly because
I think
World War II stained the word a lot too, right? And we have a big spread. It's like Hitler and Mussolini are very different, even though they're both fascists, right?
Well, there could be sort of a spectrum from left to right, and like within fascism itself. And I think that points to the greater element of the issue, that fascism isn't really like on the left or on the right.
It uses left-wing and right-wing ideology, but does primarily fuse right-wing authoritarianism and corporatist steering.
Which elicits the question: why are you bothering? Why? So what is the point of arguing whether something is or is not fascist?
The point is that fascism is like I said in my closing, actually I don't want to give that away, but there's a lot of this debate later in it, you guys will see, where I try to actually help people understand why fascism is popular, because a lot of times fascism will boil down to bad, evil. It's always bad. They think of Hitler and 80 million dead, and that is just not a good way to understand why so many people were fucking moved by fascism. It is a real answer, a diagnostic answer to liberalism that liberalism refuses to confront. And I ask Andrew this later, and I bring up an analogy for it, but liberalism has a curse where it will mute the strongest sections of the country in some ways for the sake of neutrality, and it has issues it refuses to confront, and people want to fight against that at some point. So fascism isn't incorrect. It correctly diagnoses things that are wrong with liberalism. The problem, though, is what it manifests as, because its movement views the entire nation as an organism again. And in order to get to the nation, right, you have to purify, you have to eliminate, the only way to do it is an existential contamination elimination. Okay.
Totalitarianism is in your body. You have to get rid of the stuff that's causing it to decay.
So like Mussolini, though,
is an outgrowth of liberalism, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Totalitarianism is an outgrowth of liberalism, right?
Correct.
And
liberalism is the dominant since the United States, right? And specifically probably the French Revolution, right? We saw more and more liberal democracies, but liberal democracy is not like perfect, right? It has some serious issues that people rightfully fight against. Communism is also another answer that people think. Mussolini himself said famously he was the third position. That was more or less propaganda, though. He really did not like liberal individualism, though, to be honest.
So what do you think is the answer?
The answer for fascism, or
no? The answer to liberalism. Like
I'm not sure. This is an answer. I don't like talking about things I don't know or I'm not confident in. So liberalism to me seems to be probably the most positive thing so far, but I'm not blind to the fact that it has problems. But I have the Constitution on my desk right here, right? I think the Constitution is a positive document. I think the fact that the United States has not needed a revolution to do all the change it's had is a testament to the document itself, right? Most countries in history would have to go through revolutions to fucking do the change that we've seen in the U.S.
So what's Searka? What's your prediction? Because probably Trump is going to lose the midterms, and he's probably going to get impeached either for Iran or for the Epstein stuff. And so, do you think that Trump is going to have enough time to to go into full blown fascism, or do you think we're just leading that direction and someone like JD Vance is going to get elected? Like, what's your prediction on like what's going to happen if you think that fascism is on the rise?
I'm going to be honest with you, man. I think Trump has already shown what he's going to do. Trump's not going to leave. That's just my personal opinion.
Like, you think he's going to stay for the third term?
I think he's already said he's going to try to do a third term. He did it recently publicly at like a conservative event. But my point is that he's already tried to do this. My point is he's already tried to do this before. He says he's going to do it. And political momentum now is that Trump needs to continue doing it. So like, if I ask you right now, what is the best choice for Trump to do, as well as his administration? Is it stop now and say that you've committed illegal acts, or is it continue? Which one is it?
I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. All right.
I'm glad
JD Vance is going to run in 2028. Trump is going to be his secondhand guy is going to be the vice president, and then they're going to get in office, and then JD Vance is going to just step down, and there we go. We get Trump 2028,
and that'll happen again,
and we'll just keep doing that, and we'll do that until we roll out Trump in a wheelchair, and he's like comatose. It's going to be great, you know.
We pull out the auto pen, and
then we map Trump's brain in a virtual AI, and then he's just president forever. We just get him.
Trump GPT will rule.
Yeah, exactly.
We will not have an election in 2028. Like, I want them to be willing to say, okay, if I am wrong about this, like, how am I personally going to atone and repent for making such an outlandish prediction that anyone with 2 brain cells should know is impossible?
I say in the debate, maybe you should watch it.
That's the benefit of making these claims. We can just say whatever we want, and we never have to worry about accountability.
Ask me this fucking question directly, okay? And I know what I tell him. I tell him that I will be the most happy. I will be more happy than any of you. That's a fact. I would love to be wrong.
I don't know. I'm pretty happy.
I believe you, but what are you going to do when you are wrong?
Move on to some other theory.
Move on and pretend like it never happened.
Some other theory of how Trump bad.
Exactly.
Yeah, you really should do.
I want to be clear. Can you only be a fascist if you succeed in doing the fascist capture?
No.
Exactly. So
the problem is though that your definition is so loose that you can apply it to every president in the last 20 years.
No, it's
That's
not.
the problem.
No, you really can't.
Watch it either, man. I love
yes, you can.
Maybe I can fucking make you.
Palingenesis messaging. George W. Bush having to, the campaign messaging was framed around leadership, continuing and protecting, rebuilding national strength. Barack Obama, country was stuck in failed politics and economics crisis, needed a new chapter. Like, of course, Donald Trump, Joe Biden. I'm going off the definition you provided, palingenesis. Do I need to go?
You're literally separating them again like some fucking moron, even though I've said
I'm separating them. I'm sorry, I'm using the definition of the words you use. Wow, yeah, no,
I'm
sorry.
That he's making is not enough to make it what he's saying it is. Palingenesis is just one part of a broader
and
definition.
It can't be dichotomized under Griffin's fascist minimum. It's a compound word of palingenesis.
What specific policies is Trump done? So we need to talk about actions then. What policy is a fascist policy that he's done?
Again, capture. You want capture.
Capture. What do you mean by that?
Is capture a policy though?
What policy? I'm looking for a specific policy, something he's put in place. Like,
you need to be in power, you fucking moron.
Is Trump not in power?
Again, we can go with the insults, Searka, if you think about it.
Well, no, he gets frustrated when you ask him questions because he doesn't have answers for it.
He's fucking retarded, and he thinks he can come in with an AI summary after spending 10 minutes understanding the subject.
I'm asking you.
We don't have to. We can be calm. It's the daytime.
What policy? I'm asking what policy. You should be able. If this is such a strong argument, you should be able to give all these different examples.
When did Hitler gain power? Like in the
so you're not going to answer the question. You're just going to move on to something else. Move the goalposts. I'm asking Trump. Are we talking about Trump? Or are we talking about Hitler?
I'm answering your question with history.
But Searka, like Trump has.
Stop. 1 sec. When did Hitler fucking actually become a dictator?
Okay. Once again, like. Can you answer
Was
the
it
question?
immediately
What
upon election, or when was
specific
it, dude?
policy? What specific
When was it?
policy is fascist under Trump? I want to know.
When
You should be able to
did
provide that.
Hitler actually become a dictator?
Why is that
Was
such
it
a hard
upon
question to
election?
answer?
I
was
think it
it
was. I
after?
think it was. I think it was pretty close.
It was about 8 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first
And
anti-Jewish
Trump
laws.
had
How long did
office-
those
Ma
take?
Hitler.
Trump
Ma
had
Hitler.
a 4-year term, and now he's had like a year and a bit.
How
So
long
it's
did
like
it take for the first Jewish laws to come into effect?
I think
Anti-Jewish
almost
laws.
immediately.
No, it was not. The German public was very against it when he first actually became even a dictator. It took 2 years, 1935.
When was Crystal
Why
Knock?
was that? Huh?
When was Crystal Knock?
That was
Crystal Knock.
that
when was
doesn't-
that?
The Night of the Long Knives is not policy.
So
No,
how many
no,
years?
no,
how many
no,
years
no,
are we
the-
talking?
No, the Night of Broken Glass.
Yeah, whatever. That's literally not policy. Like he's asking.
It's not. What? Yeah, but that is like allowing, and even
policy.
some of the.
It's not
Well,
policy.
it's
No,
if
first of all,
Trump
you're
if Trump was
confusing
sending
Crystal
around
Knock
his
with
own
Night of
people
the
to
Long Knives,
bust down
which are two very different
businesses
things.
and break glass and kill people and stuff, I would say, yeah, even if that's not a policy thing, that's obviously allowance of massive anti-Jewish crimes, right?
You do know that I don't think Trump will actually do what Hitler did. The language is there. This is why fascism is kind of dangerous.
Just answering
because-
your question.
I'm answering yours now. The reason that
What was my question?
Mussolini, okay, was very different than Hitler.
Isn't it?
So like the purification language in Hitler's rhetoric, right? He went extreme on that. I don't know if Trump will do that. I can't promise you like 80 million dead or, extreme anti-Jew laws. That's not really what I can do. I can just show you the diagnostic criteria for what he fits, and he fits the fucking fascist criteria.
I'm just saying it's weird that you ask all these questions about Hitler because they do not work in your favor, as Evan even points out, right?
literally
Because
wants
we've had 5
he
years
wants
of Trump.
Yeah,
Are
I'm
you
waiting for the.
doesn't
Let's say
understand
I'm
that
super
fascists
fascist
work
pro,
within the
right? I'm looking for the
framework
policies. I want
that
to
they
know
have
what
to
did Trump
fucking
do.
law.
I want to really know because I'm into this. Can you give me the last 5 years of his administration, like some of the policy that I can get behind and say yes, fascism.
Like it's not.
Is there any way to make your mic louder by any chance on your end? I have you maxed, but
It might be fucking lowering it. So one sec.
others I can try to turn us all down and maybe somehow make
No, don't
a
bring us down to his level. How dare you?
equilibrium.
It's the
You
way.
spent 10 minutes trying to fucking come here
I
and
think-
contest me
I
with
think
quotes. You're a
the
fucking pathetic
closest-
loser. Why are you so rude?
Oh, that's a
Hold
great
on.
argument. That's a great argument and not an answer to any of my questions, just like we saw
I
in the
can
debate.
argue all day on this, bro.
What you're doing is
Also-
not arguing. It's just like
it's not an ad
obfuscating
hominem.
and naming
It's not an ad
what
hominem.
aboutism.
If I call you a fucking
What about
retard
Hitler,
and then
though?
show how
The
you're
What about
closest
Hitler, though?
thing
It's not an ad
What about
is
hominem.
Hitler,
something
though?
like
Well, I'm not saying he's
is-
Hitler. Okay.
I mean, if we
his, like,
want to go to
loyalty
insults,
requirements
Searka,
for
I'm
people
here
who
for
work under
that.
him.
Oh yeah, Emmett is here to do the roasting.
I'm here to call you a retard if that's
There,
what you
there you
want.
go. Emmett can
I
take
gotta
up
watch the video.
this portion of the argument.
This is why
Wait,
we
wait,
avoid insults. If you think about it,
Wait,
I mean, it's hard when this.
I thought you were ad hominem. I come here to call you a retarded piece of crap. What are we doing?
Blows my mind,
Yeah.
bro. I don't get
I'm gonna
it.
try to
you
turn us
should
all
probably
down because
go the
Zerka's
way
mic
you-
Listen to
sucks for
Andrew.
some
It would
reason.
be
Andrew
better
knows this
for the whole
way
of
better than any of
society
you.
if we
Let him
look
talk.
at it that way. Especially because you were here calling people fascistic, but maybe you yourself are one. Have you thought
Who
about
the
that?
fuck did I call fascistic?
Trump supporters,
Everybody?
people that
Okay,
do it.
can we watch
Yeah,
that?
everybody
Ireland.
that
What the fuck am I
is
doing
part
with
of
my
the
life?
of
What am I
MAGA,
doing
isn't
right
it?
now?
Yeah,
I don't know what
we'll
I'm
watch
saying.
the
this better
video.
than any of you.
Sitting in your
and the
room,
people
Literally let
that-
Andrew
that-
talk.
getting
And
roasted.
He
the
knows this
people-
more than you. He can do it better
and
than
the
all of you. You
people
guys are
that
fucking
support
pathetic. Let him talk.
And the people that support him would be fascist too, no?
We will watch the video. We'll watch the video, okay? Because Confluence only has an hour and 5 minutes. So he wants to make hay while the sun
Hypernational
shines.
genesis is happening in autocratic Russia
It did happen, yeah.
in the same way that we would see it in Italy.
Well, more like the same way we would see it in Germany.
So what do you think happened in Italy then? Do you think that didn't happen that way, or?
I don't even know what you're asking me now.
Plus, I just want to point out again, it seems to me that if corporatism is your gate, the fascists in Italy didn't have corporatism until after they took power. So why are you trying to
They
debate me
weren't-
on
they
diagnosing
weren't
whether someone's
fascist,
fascist
because
if
they
your
weren't-
definition cannot
They
do that?
were- when do you think they became fascists?
Before they were fascist
When?
early
What
on.
was the date?
Their
What was the
movement.
date?
Oh my God. I mean, the beginning stages is that myth, Andrew.
No,
your
not the
favorite
beginning
thing.
stages. What was the date they actually became fascist by your metric?
I don't know. 1914,
Yeah, exactly.
December 10th, 6 p.m. What's the rising star chart,
Yeah,
bro?
that's the thing, though, right?
Is
It's
it
like,
Pisces? What are you asking me now? What is this, astrology?
what I'm saying to you is that the entire ideology was moving towards corporatism. It was
No, it
moving
wasn't.
towards it. Yes, it
You're
was.
just lying. You don't know.
No,
what
I'm just not lying.
Because corporatism is different than fascist corporatism.
It was moving.
Because there was no bargaining.
hang on.
There was no tripartite
Early on,
bargaining.
the socialists were moving towards corporatism. Yes, they were.
So
They were having a huge struggle. There was a huge struggle. I'll tell you what happened. There was a massive struggle which was going on with large trade syndicates swallowing up small ones. That's why they wanted to manage the economy so badly there. And they were already moving towards economic management before the fact that they even got into power, essentially. They were already moving towards that ideology. We're going to start with communism.
Business elites would have actually supported him if they knew that he wasn't going to let them live and not just do institutional bargaining. You know that, right? He lied to them.
Well, wait a second. Maybe, but so what?
Corporatism is institutional bargaining.
They
So he didn't
still
have to do
wanted a
corporatism.
form of corporatism. I don't know what to tell you. They did.
Again, so your definition is gate kept behind when after they take power and maybe they do a specific brand of corporatism, even though there's different stages and different ideologies.
Well, they need to at least be moving towards
How the hell are you going to diagnose fascism then?
because you would need to show that there's some movement towards that ideology.
Oh, got it. Okay. What about away from it, like the Spaniards did? And they were still
You mean-
fascist, though.
You mean
This
Franco?
bad move by me. Yeah, he started off more corporatist and then ended up not being as corporatist as it went on.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
that was a less fascist state over time, not a more.
Why do you think this is a misstep, Searka?
Because one of the big reasons that, and he correctly points out, that Spain became less fascist over time is because they actually started to reduce the amount of corporatism they had. That still isn't correct in the greater conversation because it's not Italian fascism, or corporatism, which is what he's gatekeeping everything behind. But he does really well here, in my opinion. He makes me look stupid.
Okay, well, I'm excited.
More fascist state. Every scholar agrees to that.
Okay, so the early part of
Every
Mussolini's
scholar
fascist-
agrees.
The early
that
part of
Franco's
Mussolini's fascist state was not
became
fascist.
less fascist over time, which makes my point for me, not for you.
No, it means that you're gatekeeping it behind something undiagnostic, and I don't know how you think you can diagnose.
And what made it less fascist over time? What made it? Okay, hang on. And what made it less? What made it less fascist over time in Franco's Spain? He was every bit as much authoritarian 20 years in as he was year one in. What made it less fascist over time was opening. Yeah, that's right. It was opening up the markets. It was opening up the markets. Dude, you got to let other people talk. Here's what made it. Here's what actually made it less fascist over time, was that they opened up markets and started to move away from this exact thing, which was corporatism, and they allowed foreign money to start investing inside of their markets. But he was every bit as authoritarian. So you tell me, what made them less fascist over time, even though he was still just as authoritarian as he was the day he started?
I already answered this. Economic reasons. They went away from
Yeah,
corporatism,
exactly.
like-
Economic reasons. Because corporatism. Because corporatism.
reasons,
That's
they
the
did
debate.
less-
It was because of corporatism, bro.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Here, let me ask you something. Okay? It's something about the Germany-Italy thing. Okay. Do you know any single scholar who is at least someone that should be mentioned in this debate? Okay, not like I know that De Felice maybe probably thought that. I think so. That German fascism wasn't exactly the same. But who actually says that Germany is not a fascist country?
You mean modern scholars?
No, even older ones. I mean, you would probably pick like an Italian one. Again, I brought up Emilio Gentili.
So even though I think this is completely tangential to the point,
Is it?
right?
Because now it makes
even if
corporatism
let's just
really
say,
worthless. You know
let's
that,
just
right?
say every single scholar disagreed with me. I didn't even make the claim that they weren't, that Germany wasn't. Just that I'm not convinced that they were.
Interesting way to pivot it, I guess. Yeah.
That's not a pivot. That was my
It is,
position.
because most people would consider Germany fascist, right?
That's an appeal to authority, or an appeal to it's an
I
ad
think the
populum
evidence is
fallacy.
strong for it because of the
That's
hypernationalist.
an ad
technology.
populum fallacy. It's a fallacious form of argumentation.
You can call it that if you like, but
I'm not
no one
going
else
to.
believes
That's
you.
what it is. It's an ad populum fallacy. Most people believe this.
And
So
how
what?
exactly are you making this
Most people
judgment?
believed you shouldn't wash your hands too. Were they right?
I don't think that has anything to do with corporatism.
Well, no, it's the same fallacy. Is my point. You can't make
No,
the
it's not.
fallacy if most people believe this, therefore
Well,
X.
you said it was autocratic. How
Am
come
I
not a
debating with
single-
those people, or am I debating with you?
You're debating with me, and I'm telling you
Great.
that your theory
So then,
sucks.
the thing is like you just making
You
making
can't
the
tell me
appeal that
how
other
Germany
people
is
don't
not
think this
a
thing
house
means
cat.
nothing.
Like Germany is like another style of cat.
I'll tell you what I'm willing to do in this debate, because nobody can get a word in edgewise. You just filibuster the entire time. Can we put timers on, like 1 minute timers?
Just tell me about washing hands, bro.
I don't think you even hear the words I say, bro.
Welcome,
I
Zill.
do.
You don't.
Okay.
But we'll just do it this way.
Sure.
Oh, you guys are on a timer right now.
Just grabbing the.
Was that something you agreed that was something you could invoke, Searka, or is this just off the fly?
I've never invoked it. I think personally, the funny thing is if you notice, like 30 seconds before that, he brought up the fact that all scholars agree that corporatism going away from it is why Spain became less fascist. And then when I brought up that no scholar agrees with him that Germany is a non-fascist country, he invoked the appeal to authority there, which is kind of funny. I think that was a tactical move because I was interrupting his train of thought on purpose there. It's like a debate tactic, right? So that little jab back and forth, I think he did better on the Spanish thing. I didn't really present that very well. And then when I brought it back to Germany, I think that exchange I won. So to stop me interrupting his train of thought, I think he wanted the minute so he could isolate his argument a little bit more. But you'll find that when I have my minute, yeah, just play the video.
Okay. I did want to read a pick and choose comment because I think I agree with him. Ad populum isn't totally fallacious when determining the definition of words because that's how language emerges and evolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if that really
it like 10 seconds before that. So I think he just wanted to pivot away from that conversation fast.
Yeah.
Which is a smart move, by the way, because Germany is fascist.
Oh, 07's Jacob and Jacob's audience.
1 minute one. Let's do a second. There we go.
Okay, so this is really simple. First and foremost, he just used a fallacious argument. He just said, can you name a scholar who X? It's like, I'm not debating with them, I'm debating with you. If you want to say that this nation was a fascist nation, that burden leads to you, but you making the argument, oh, everybody else thinks that is not an argument at all. It's a fallacy. That's the first thing. The second thing is I made a very compelling argument to you for why corporatism must be some sort of necessary function for fascism. We did this by utilizing Franco's Spain. In Franco's Spain, it became less fascist over time, but not less authoritarian. He says it's because of economic reasons. Well, what were the economic reasons? He said it himself. The economic reasons were that they became less corporatist over time and allowed outside investment capital. That was it. That was the only thing that made it less fascist over time. If he can point to anything else, I want to hear it. But there was nothing else that changed the dynamic. The guy was authoritarian from day one all the way till the end.
You done? Yeah.
Yeah. Your time. Minute for minute, sir.
Okay. Well, you are using a lot of their definitions for some reason. I don't know why you think that. You can just cast them out when it's inconvenient, and when it's very convenient to sound like you know what you're talking about, you try to use them. I mean, I remember hypernationalism, palingenesis being in your definition. Anyways, I said economic and more, by the way, not just economic. So I'm not really sure if you misheard that. And then finally, a few questions. Okay. So in fascist Italy, does the regime tolerate independent labor organization and strike power? And then the second question I want to ask is, are firm industries being steered through selective processes? And is the rewarding, licensing, and enforcement make them dependent on political favor? I made a little diagram to both of those here, questions. Okay, for you?
That's it.
If you guys can see this. So generic fascism is going to be on this side, okay? And corporate fascist corporatism is going to be on this side. So the main difference here, okay, is that generic corporatism exists in every single fucking country on the planet. And we can think of this box on the outside here as institutional bargaining. So the state institutionalizes an area where all of these parties can cooperate and bargain in a tripartite. That's what essentially gets said here, okay? In fact,
which is state, private, and labor. Is that what that says?
Yeah.
Okay.
So companies. And then in fascist corporatism, Mussolini's Italy, they promised this via trade syndicates. So like you can think of a syndicate as like a little union. That's why I made little boxes. And then they promise the ability for them to have strikes. That's what the bargaining here is. They can bring their ability to strike and bargain with the other parties. In fascist corporatism, though, once Italy took power, they knew that because they made state authorized places for the companies to live, as in like you could only exist if you weren't authorized by the state, and they suppressed labor, that ultimately all of it became subordinate to the state. So there was no bargaining at all. So it's weird to gatekeep behind corporatism because generic corporatism is actually, institutionalized bargaining. And this looks more like communism or totalitarianism because there is no private and labor anymore, even if they call it fascist corporatism. So Mussolini promised something of this and then gave, in the end state, this. Because I mean, he wanted to have more control over the economics, and he had a lot of reasons in his own writing. But I just wanted to make that clear for the conversation going forward. Okay.
So if he gave the thing he promised, would that not be fascism then?
No, because the thing he promised exists in the U.S. right now, and Canada, and literally every democratic welfare country on the planet. So how can you keep fascism with something that exists in every single fucking country on the planet?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But
that makes sense. Yeah.
Steering though, there is corporatist steering. I want to make that clear.
Yeah, I think Andrew would not have accepted the debate if you said we are approaching fascism. He would not have accepted that debate.
If it was approaching fascism?
Yeah,
approaching corporatism.
Yeah. Well, Searka's arguments are showing that we're approaching fascism, but I think we learned in the debate that you only know after they take power. So
capture, you can't
hold
really,
on.
like, it's an analytical backwards.
Yeah, do you think
if you admit that we're approaching fascism, then you have to admit that at least someone in the leadership is trying to implement fascism, right?
It's the definition is so
no. Self-identification does not matter. Self-identification does not matter.
I'm not saying they're self-identifying. I'm saying.
Well, you just said someone needs to say they're trying to do it, right?
Well, no. What I'm saying. What? Me or him?
Someone, I think, said that someone in the administration needs to say that they're doing fascism. Is that
No. You have to admit that someone in the administration is a fascist or trying to implement fascism if you're saying that we're approaching a fascistic state or that we're becoming more fascistic, right?
Well,
the whole thing. This thing is you have to diagnose it, but there's a third state to fascism. There's myth, movement, and capture. I cannot.
No, I know.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
What I'm saying is, if he said that Wilson would not have taken the debate if the debate was we're approaching fascism or becoming more fascistic.
Yeah.
But if that's
Probably
the case,
correct.
then
maybe. Yeah.
But then, if that's the case, then somebody has to be trying to create that fascistic state.
To be honest, guys, I didn't take this debate to debate Wilson.
No, I know.
The reason I started streaming is because I think, Trump is dangerous to my country. So I decided to take this debate knowing that it would be almost impossible to prove he is a fascist. And
you didn't
I was
take
just
the
trying to
debate
reach
to debate
people.
Wilson?
Huh?
You didn't take the debate with Wilson to debate him?
No, that's why my opening and closing are completely, they avoid him completely.
You're such a disingenuous fuck.
I don't know how that's disingenuous, but
fucking retarded piece of crap.
I think he's just okay. Well, I think
Shut up.
I think he wants to reach the people Wilson had with him.
Stop sucking his cock.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
I don't think he gives a shit that it's Wilson so much as the people that Wilson.
That's exactly correct. I don't give a fuck that it was Wilson. I mean, I actually
enjoy
give a fuck
talking
to
Wilson
you're
going to debate instead.
He's probably one of the most knowledgeable people on fascism I've ever talked to.
He could educate. Fuck these fuckers.
You don't care. That's why for like months you talked about the debate with Wilson, claimed the debate with Wilson, and that.
Well, he knows it's going to get a lot of eyes on it. I mean, this is Speakeasy's biggest live thing he's ever done.
I mean,
but I can see that if I was debating an atheist,
who else is in Wilson's position right now?
I'd be like, nah, fuck that guy.
What other streamer is in Wilson's position right now?
It wasn't my idea. It was Speakeasy, so I was like,
what other streamer
you were talking about it
right now? Who
weeks
debated other than Wilson?
I just went everywhere saying I was going to debate him.
I mean, my opening and closing was directed to reach people.
Yeah, I know you're a Democrat, okay? So shut up. Who cares?
I'm not, but it's fine.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, I guess you know better than me.
Emmett.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Emmett has a lot of preferences.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of preferences, and they're better than yours.
Those preferences are that you are what he says you are.
Get gut scrubs.
I will never stop loving that.
Oh my god! To my debate with Rob, like that one weirdo, the fucking godless engineer guy. That was, I mean, I don't know how you can say I'm a bad atheist when I was trying to be in earnest.
You're the worst atheist I ever met.
Okay, well, I'm glad you think that.
Oh, Emmett.
Hold on, hold on. What makes a bad atheist? What makes a bad atheist?
His preferences.
No. You got to be more specific than that. You can't just say preferences.
I think an anti-theist makes a bad atheist, like an anti-theist, someone who thinks that they can say God can't exist.
I thought anti-theists were people who think God exists, but he's an evil being.
What?
No.
Is there a term for that?
A Gnostic, I guess. believe
what?
in like the demiurge
An
and stuff.
anti-theist is someone who's like
no,
against
not like
theism,
that. I mean,
right?
like they believe in God and the God in the Bible. They believe that God is actually evil because of the way the world runs. Like they blame him for the world as it is.
I feel like that's hyper specific.
That is the demiurge. I mean, that's you just defined the
Is it
demiurge.
really?
So yeah.
Anyway, I
That's
gotta
the idea
go.
that the God of creation and in the Bible is a false God and he's actually evil. So that is a Gnostic.
Well, no,
You should
I
tell
don't
them.
think
You
he's
should
a
tell them
false.
the truth, Mo. You should tell them the truth. The truth
The
is,
move.
well, heaven Maxine, we're gonna go ahead
Oh.
and pick the best.
What
of
is
the
that called?
babies.
You said
The
Gnostic?
best of the
GNOSTIC?
And once
Yeah.
we have the best,
That's one part of Gnosticism, especially like historical
we turn on the
Gnosticism.
machines. Is that
Interesting?
But it also involves a lot of other stuff too. Is the
That's how we're
problem?
going to do it.
Yeah, I'm talking
I can
about.
barely
like,
hear you
excluding
because
that.
I think Confluence turned us all down.
Yeah.
No, you're not
Chad,
turned down.
am I too loud? I'm trying to balance this all out. If I'm coming in hot, let me know.
Anyway,
Wow, you have me
I'll see
down
you
at
guys later.
what,
Have a good
40
one.
something. Holy shit.
Bye, Emmett.
I'm trying to balance because Searka's super quiet, so I'm trying to get us all to the same level with some degree of success.
get a
Maybe
reminder.
I'm not sure.
If you watch my my YouTube VOD, by the way, my audio is perfect. Just it makes no sense. I
On
fucking
here,
hate
because
streaming.
Mo, you're at 40, but you sound to me the same level as Searka, and Zerka's at 200. So I don't know what's going on.
That's because I didn't get my mic off Timu. Holy shit. It's not my fault everyone else has shitty mics.
Yeah, this is no.
Is that where your mic?
Okay, that's the end of your minute. Is to ask me questions instead of giving me a demonstration of anything.
Cool.
Just is it pop quiz time? Pop quiz, Andrew. Does X or dude? Who cares? Let's say I get both of these things. Let's just assume for a second I get both of these things wrong. Does that assist you in any way with demonstrating Trump's a fascist? No. No, it doesn't.
I heard he called Searka not so erudite at some point, so I'm excited to see that.
Does it in any way, shape, or form? Is that any sort of argument for why it was that
sample over
Franco
just her
Spain,
name being
what
mentioned?
these other
Yeah,
pillars
okay.
were here, the erosions that happened that were not economic or based on syndicalism or in this case corporatism? No, it doesn't. This is an obfuscation which is utilized by low-tier debaters. It's called the pop quiz strategy. Pop quiz strategy is here's this tangential thing which has nothing in relation to what it is that we're even talking about. All right, it's an erudite strategy. So the thing is like fuck the pop quiz. Demonstrate Trump's a fascist. That's what you're here to do.
I do
You're here
want to
demonstrate
point
Donald
out
Trump's a fascist.
that
So far, you have not
tangential
done
does
that.
not mean irrelevant, right? So I brought up questions to demarcate what corporatism really is. So it's not irrelevant to this conversation, but he is. I think his move here is really smart for a debate audience. I think this is a good move by him.
Confluence, you do a stream later too?
No, this is why I'm doing a day shift because I have to take tonight
day
off.
shift.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I gotta head out, but I'll talk to you guys later.
Right. Oh,
See you
sounds
later,
well.
Mom.
Take care.
Take it
Later.
easy, dude.
I'm just gonna.
And we are reaching the hour mark. Do you guys want to add 30 minutes to an hour?
I'm
You
only going
that,
to 30
Searka?
minutes.
Sure.
Okay,
Go
I'm
just gonna assume that you don't know.
Wait, so only 30 minutes left in the debate? We'll actually finish it maybe today, I think.
No, it's longer.
we go over.
I think it's
longer.
Oh, shoot. Dang it.
Also,
I got 45 minutes left. I have a heart out in 45, so.
So, Searka, don't you think that Andrew was hiding behind the difficulty of diagnosing fascism? That was the whole thing, correct?
Yeah, Andrew is doing a very. He's painting my definition as very broad. So he's undefining fascism when it's my turn, and then he's defining extremely exclusionary when it's his turn. And I don't blame him. That's probably the best. That's the best route to do this debate. So the problem is,
well, not if you want to debate. It's the best route if you want to win.
That's what I mean. Well, debates are not conversations. Let's just be honest, guys. Debates are contests. Debates are like two sports teams. Okay, so when you're doing a debate, you want to win.
Both
so you
sport
don't
teams are
admit
supposed
fault.
to be playing the game.
Yeah. And then
But
the
the
conversation that
game
we
is
have
not
afterwards is
open.
where we actually let our guard down a little, right? That's why I think the Q&A is really important for this video. But the problem I think that Andrew had in this debate is Andrew talks to a lot of people because he's really knowledgeable about fascism, right? He knows early fascist. He knows a little bit about Gentili, like you guys probably heard earlier. In the Pure Act, like he can maneuver around a lot of people when they just like Google, a summary of what fascism is from Robert Griffin's book. But I have there's traps that I use that really just fuck his diagnostic definition theoretically. Even though I think this debate's probably a tie, because Andrew does better in the beginnings, at the beginning of the video, and then he also really is good at like making that exclusionary definition for me. I think the theoretical argument though and the diagnostic argument, I definitely won, but I think it's a tie overall because of his presentation of that. But if you play the video, you'll get close to it.
I'll be the judge of that, Searka. Okay.
You started picking up your points later on. Yeah.
It's weird that you brought the pillars. So how many pillars are required for fascism? Is it like 3 out of 3 or 2 out of 3 or 1 out of 3? And let's just say,
are we still doing the pop quiz? We still do. Can you make an argument?
That was my minute. I mean, you're dating me behind corporatism, so if you date me behind corporatism being something that's fantastic and magical,
can you
because
pause
you have
really
no idea what
fast?
you're talking about,
I'm gonna let
it's
Section
going to be
do
hard for me to
something.
overcome that without showing you that it's
It better be nice. It better be nice
It
to
is
him.
going to be nice. So in a normal debate section, yes, the affirmative has much of the burden. The problem here is that we are talking about whether Trump is a fascist. So there is a burden on him to give a diagnostic definition. Whenever he disagrees with mine, he is also defining his. Okay? So the burden is not just unequal like a normal debate here. It's not a normal burden like it is in your average, is trickle-down economics good for the society or something like that. Okay, that's mostly the burden of the affirmative here, but that is just simply not the case. He is proving a definition that's diagnostic whenever he rejects part of mine. If you don't understand that, then you need to go look at how debate works.
Section, when you're saying he doesn't have to prove a negative, what I would say is like if he's gonna reject, because Andrew can't have 2 outs. He can't say, okay, let's say I go along with your definition and Trump isn't a fascist and they fight it out, and then not give his own definition of fascism, because then he literally can't lose. Because if he doesn't have to give his own definition of fascism and he can just like pick holes in the other, then he's got like 2 ways that he can win, like 2 victory conditions, because he could concede that Trump meets the fascist minimum and meets all these things, and then he could just sit back at the end and say, well, actually, I don't even think that's fascism at all. That's not how I define it. So he has to give his own definition.
Section, I destroy his definition. I destroy it.
Without presenting your own definition, you basically allow yourself to be contradictory in the
His
holes you
definition
poke in the other person's definition.
Is ultranationalistic palingenesis corporatist, and I destroy the ultranationalism part by the nation and state collapse I do later, completely fuck it, and then his corporatism gate completely fucked now, because it's post-capture, it's worthless for diagnostics, so his definition doesn't hold up theoretically to scrutiny. I'm sorry.
Has he given it yet and I just missed it, or is he not given his yet? Because I feel like I haven't heard Andrew agree with
know it because I saw that Adam Kahn video. But that is how he describes it. Ultranationalistic palingenesis, corporatist. That's his definition.
Okay. Although I heard that Andrew disagrees with that. I think someone told me at first he says I didn't say that, and then you guys pull it up,
I think
and
you
he's
should
like,
watch
"Well,
the
I
video.
was."
I think Andrew doesn't really. The whole time it was happening. I was like, bro, just don't make me do this. I was like, what are you doing right now?
Hopefully we get to that part, because I'm curious.
I was
about
like, come
that.
on, bro, don't make me do this. Just say that like you didn't really mean to.
Why
say
would
it
that
was
require
only-
me answering questions for you to demonstrate that that's stupid?
Because your idea of corporatism is just flawed, and
We want to go back in the open floor here.
I'll tell you what. You know what? I'll just grant, just for the last 30 minutes of this, right? Give me your most powerful
This was a really
argument.
bad move by me.
The most powerful argument that you can give me that Donald J. Trump, who's barely a nationalist, is actually a fascist. Your best argument.
I'm gonna leave that for the closing.
You're going to leave your
powerful,
best
yeah.
argument for why Trump is a fascist in the debate about Trump being a fascist for your closing.
Correct. Yeah.
That it's a bad move there. I mean, because then he can't respond and pick it apart and stuff.
I mean, remember, I came into this debate not really wanting to debate him, though, right? So if you keep that in mind, obviously, when I rewatched this, I was like, it doesn't look good, right? I was like, that was definitely no. I can tell you again. I can go over a bunch of things with you right now if you like.
Just go into the closing, dude. I don't even know where to go with this.
The whole point of the debate, Searka, is Trump is a fascist. You don't want to engage with that?
I am engaging with it. I have something in my closing that I think is very strong. I feel like for what I'd like to do with the closing is where I'm going to keep it. Is that okay? I mean, I can argue that Trump is a fascist in every single tenet that we can think of. Trump, if you want to, I can argue how Trump is literally doing corporatism in a modern way, just like Italian fascists. You want to go there?
Sure.
Okay. So, are you aware of something like Trump RX? Do you know anything about that?
Let's pull it up. What's Trump RX?
Great
Welcome,
point.
Tyler.
Trump RX, great point.
Morning.
I thought you would say that.
Here's
Trump
a W
RX
for
is a
Searka.
specific little union of selected state-authorized companies that Trump gets to suppress or, deny using the executive branch if they don't do what he wants. So I what
wish
would you call that this a little style more because of,
I
I
was going off complete memory. I didn't prep for it.
outside the government, but ultimately
Should've.
subordinate.
It's a federal government drug pricing portal.
Yeah, and you probably need to go a little further than just looking at TrumpRx.com. There's information on it. There's a certain set of companies that are giving state authorization to even shop here.
Where can I reference this information?
I'm not sure of the exact site, my friend.
Of course not.
But the information's there.
I'm supposed to just take you at face value that even though this is literally what this is a federal government drug pricing portal launched in 2026 by the Trump administration. It's designed to help American patients across prescription medications at most favored nation prices, which are the lowest prices paid for some drugs in developed
There's just
nations.
like a little section of the internet where Trump.
I don't know. If you tell me where I can source the information, I can literally go through it right this second.
Well, if you look on the bottom, there's going to be a few little terms and conditions drop-down menus. Okay, it asks who can actually sell their product on this.
Okay.
So in order to actually sell a product on this, you have to essentially be okay with Trump. Trump is the one who authorizes you to sell on this government website.
Let's find out if that's true.
One sec, Confluence. Just pause it really fast.
Okay.
I didn't do really good on this part. I wish I started with the main point, which was it is a form of corporatism, which is similar to what Mussolini, again, promised moving up in the movement to capture, right? So the movement going towards a corporatist steering is what I should have been trying to say here instead of like proving that this is end state corporatism. So I think I failed trying to describe what this is supposed to mean because I didn't preface that in the beginning. But
you get to it a little later. I think you accurately described, like, there was no problem with your definitions. Your definitions were fine.
Yeah. I just the point here is that corporatism doesn't always look like the end state one, and I didn't really mention that when I was mentioning Trump RX because this is a brand of corporatism, but I didn't really connect that to what it means when, like, the movement of fascism shifts and changes. So, like, Mussolini did different corporatism, like we mentioned earlier, leading up to the state capture, right? And then as soon as he had the state, was like, we're going to do state authorized, no institutional bargaining. Completely different than what he promised.
Were you nervous because a lot of debates, remember that like 2 weeks ago on Horseradish, I was pointing out to somebody that they needed to emulate your style of setting down your stepping stone so that everyone could see a clear path of where you're going. And it seems like you didn't do that at all here. I'm wondering if you were nervous.
In the early part of the debate, Searka was laying down definitions.
Yeah,
I'm just here in this particular part.
Well, that's already been done.
I did not do that well right here. Absolutely not. Yeah, 100%. Like that's my problem with it right now is that I don't really connect an overarching narrative to why Trump RX is even relevant because on its own, it is not like fascist corporatism. Although I do say I can show you how Trump is doing fascist corporatism, right? And I think that was a big mistake by me.
Random question from chat. Are you a vegan, Searka?
No.
Okay, well then, would you ever consider debating Brandon, our resident philosophy bro, on veganism?
Like for it?
Or in the future? He's vegan. He's vegan, so yeah. He'd be
Dang!
Veganism is goated.
I feel like
Did you ever consider that?
I feel like the animal suffering argument is just like overpowering. Even if my whole argument will just be vibes and fifis.
Don't see it. Who can tell? What is this under? Can you tell me where I can source this info?
Yeah, give me a second. I've actually written something about this on Obsidian, so I'll make sure I give it to you correctly. Okay.
Yeah.
In the meantime, while we wait for me to open this, okay. Something else. You know that Trump is unilaterally, as the president, decided to do like deals they're not real, the amount of money, but $600 billion with like Saudi Arabia and other companies like that, right?
Okay.
And he publicly names companies that are going to be investing into the United States on his website through whitehouse.gov.
Okay.
Can you name me another president that has done that publicly to try and show some form of favoritism in that way?
No, not off the top of my head.
Okay. Do you know that $20 billion is being invested by a company called Datavolt, which is a Saudi Arabian company, to build nuclear energy infrastructure in the United States?
Okay.
Now, what is that doing? I'm When going to pause Trump is here really fast. doing this to the executive branch? I claimed it was nuclear energy. I'm pretty positive it is, but I should not have made that claim. I'm just using a press release from very close to the same time where the energy secretary, Wright, mentions that Saudi Arabia will be doing nuclear infrastructure, but it does not say Datavolt. And it does not say, I'm just like connecting dots here, but I feel like if people do research into it, they'll realize that I made a claim I probably can't make, but they are building data infrastructure. I probably shouldn't have said whether it was nuclear or not, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
Creating a corporatist environment, or is he getting rid of it?
That's not corporatism.
How is it not corporatism? It's fascist corporatism. It's not regular corporatism. This is not institutionalized bargaining.
It's not fascist corporatism either.
It's not politically aligning private companies through state authorization that he doesn't have.
Yeah. Well, wait a second. If he doesn't have it, then how's he able to do it?
I don't know, man. He is doing it though, isn't he?
Because he's allowed to. Because he's allowed to do it.
No, I mean that's what fascists do, right? They try and break the constraints of the liberal democracies they're in. Just like
executive power is not fascism. That's the first thing. The second thing to look at
here,
executive
power to break constraints.
Calm down. This is not corporatism at all. This is not even a little bit. Even if I granted all of, let's just say that I grant worse, that he's making all sorts of deals by using the executive branch in order to enrich himself because he just thinks it's really fun. He wants to see his wallet get fat. That's not fucking corporatism. What are you talking about? How is it corporatism?
That's not necessary for fascist corporatism either. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's about
that's my whole. But you just made my point
it's
for
about
me.
State authorized, okay, companies essentially being subordinate to the state through political alignment, punishment, disloyalty.
Like so like the Canadian power system is fascist because the Canadian government is who has to authorize it. And
the stupid question maybe, but what's the difference between corporatism and just like a controlled, planned economy?
Well, remember the box
private ownership.
Right? So institutionalized bargaining. So corporatism is by definition when you take a government function and you give it to a private company, which on its own is countries do this all the time, depending on what the service or good is, right? So it could be utility, it could be the opposite way. I mean, going away from corporatism, absorbing like oil or something like that for nationalization. But the difference between fascist corporatism and a planned economy actually is the more important question. There really isn't one because Mussolini promised, even though he promised a trade syndicate, which is like a union for private companies, he knew that because it was state authorized, they would have to be subordinate to them. So he essentially, again, fascists have to work within a constitutional framework. So they promise a lot of things and they use the fact that liberals are deathly afraid of communists. And that's why a lot of communists will say like every liberal is a fascist secretly, right? Because that's stupid shit. But fascists did historically, prey upon that idea that they were more closely aligned with liberals, or at least their corporatist steering was. And
I thought you were done.
Okay. And the difference between generic corporatism and then the fascist corporatism again is there's just no bargaining happening. And the government institutionalizing some form of bargaining is very different from like what Mussolini did, where he knew that he was suppressing labor, so they had no way to actually bargain with companies in the state, and then by not allowing strikes, and then companies were politically aligned to Mussolini's regime because to get state authorization, he kind of had control over who was going to be in these unions. And then not only that, he gave contracts to people who did what he wanted. So ultimately over time, he manipulated them. And if all of these companies knew what Mussolini was going to do at the end state, I don't think they would have went along with it, but that's kind of the game a little, right? So there's a corporatist steering going on, but at the end of the day, the planned economy and the fascist corporatism functions the same. I mean, realistically.
Okay.
So it's about private companies gaining favor with the government, and that's problematic.
Yeah.
Yes. Isn't that what it is?
Yeah.
Well,
kind of, yeah. If there's no bargaining happening, yeah.
In some instances, they even seized private property from non-compliant owners and gave it to state-friendly actors as well. So that authoritarianism is still intact in it as well. I think Andrew is just debate brewing here, though. I'm switching to the other critique. Another critique. Andrew's just debate brewing right now. He's not actually offering any specifics. He's just challenging. He's just kind of throwing a stick in the spoke.
It's sophistry.
Yeah. Well, like he could ask, like, what about the Obamacare website, which functioned almost the exact same way? It was
legislatively done.
Yeah, it's true.
Exactly.
Well, it doesn't matter though. He could have asked that. It could at least be an argument.
It would have been a good pivot,
it.
but it was legislatively done. It is different than the executive.
Maybe, but in effect, it did the same thing, didn't it?
No,
it established government
legislation
control over
done by
how
Congress
certain...
is very different than undisclosed, non-publicly available, executive order mandated little state union. That's what Trump is doing.
Sure, but we're talking about government-controlled private businesses.
But that's not constraint breaking, because the executive here is the problem. It's Trump using his executive branch to break constraints by doing things that it's not traditionally supposed to do.
Right.
The legislative branch can do exactly what you just mentioned, though. And that is corporatist, though. It is corporatist. What you just said
yes, it is corporatism regardless.
But it's not leading to fascist corporatism. That's
I understand that. I'm just...
really... Yeah.
Okay, so if we're talking about like unfair, I guess, or very like tight links between corporations and the government, there's like, what about like Boeing and stuff, and these companies that have like endless contracts? Is that a type of fascist corporatism under your lens, or no?
So
because there's like some bargaining elements.
Beginning of those, the contractors, they were able to bid on the open market. It wasn't like undisclosed. It wasn't like non-public, but over time, I believe companies like Boeing, because of the regulations surrounding the things they make, made a barrier to entry that's just impossible. But if someone could make a company and compete with them, I guess they could compete for the bid of the contract, but that is still somewhat different.
So if Boeing's CEO decided tomorrow that he doesn't want to make planes for the U.S. anymore,
right? We would find someone else. Yeah.
The U.S. would not replace him with somebody who would. As the leader of the company.
We can easily, there's many manufacturers we can use.
No, I'm saying they would not replace the Boeing CEO as the leader of the company.
Oh, yeah.
With somebody who would.
Yeah. No,
and therein lies the difference. And just really quick to Section 230.
I have to think on how, because that's kind of interesting, but it's still not like executive constraint breaking. But what you just described is, kind of the complexity of corporatism in and of itself a little, and how government.
Well, corporatism on its own is not fascistic.
That's what I mean. That's the whole problem. I think one of the reasons Tyler is very correct here is why, and I think Andrew knows this, because the trap here is really theoretically damaging. If I can, the whole point here is I'm trying to deliver that trap, and Andrew is good at debating. He's trying to avoid that, right? So I'm trying to get him to. I'm trying to have this moment where I can show that gating fascism behind corporatism is just fucking fundamentally breaking, and it takes me a long time, and I still don't do it in the way that I wanted to, right? Because he's good at debate.
Look, the fact that this is the common way people debate today does not mean that this is actually debate. Debate is about discovering the truth, not about guarding definitions.
Exactly, yeah.
So you never have to prove a point. Okay? He's not winning because he has a point. He's winning because he's drawing. He's putting you to a draw, and that wins him by default.
Alex, sounds like you haven't been to debate university, okay?
I was going to say, debate is a contest. Debate's a contest. So, like, he's
it is, but the winner should be because they provided a point that the other couldn't counter, not because they drew
but the way you deliver that point
to
is equally as important, I promise you.
This morning, when Alex woke up, he pulled out his rusty spoon and started dumping some copium in there so he could heat it up and shoot it up. He dumped way too much copium in there. These are valid.
What's the copium here, buddy?
These are valid debate tactics. I'm saying
no, they're not.
They are.
He's doing a valid debate tactic.
Their tactics are right. It's called sophistry.
No,
it used to be something we would frown upon because it was seen as a way of doing something that isn't actually proper.
Alex, do you expect him to just like let me do what I want? I don't really know what you want right now.
This is ATI. This is the proper way to conduct arguments by calling out sophistry.
Yeah, this is a debate. This isn't a conversation,
We have a conversation afterwards, by the way. We do actually have a conversation afterwards where both of us let our guard down. We're more vulnerable, and we both are like, that's when I concede, right? And that's different. A debate right now, he's not going to be like, oh, I'm wrong. Let me say I'm wrong, right? That's not how this works. We're kind of like,
why not? If you actually are wrong, then just admit it.
you're wrong.
Yeah, right.
I have my
Yeah,
own
right.
opinions on this a little, Alex, but like in this format, what's happening at the present right now, that is not something that's possible, and it's not what people should expect.
I'm not saying it's an expectation. I'm saying it's the actually right thing to do.
So you want
Again,
a
that is an
rebirth of
expectation.
debate using a mythic structure. You want palingenesis.
The structure that
in the
used to
debate
actually exist in the
world.
past, yes. When it comes to debate, I am a fascist. You're right.
Debate fascist. That's
I
like
just
similar
wanna
to a debate.
And I honestly think anyone who debates like
is
this should just be beaten over
debate
the
is
head
like
multiple
running
times until they
the
stop.
400. Okay, like both of us are running the 400 meter right now, and we're not going to stop because the other guy's faster, right? That's just not how you play the sport.
No, that's not what you're doing at all. What you're doing is you're running the 400 and he's just riding on your back, waiting for you to fuck up so you can take over and keep running on his own.
Yeah, but he's not going to quit.
I'm not saying he has to quit, but I'm saying
if he decided to just say,
you're actually
let me do what I
wrong,
want, though, he would.
that
be
should
quitting,
be
right?
the end of the debate. This is like a courtroom argument. You don't care about the truth. You don't care about what's actually real. You're just trying to manufacture the definitions and the arguments in a way that
Okay, so I want you to look up the definition of debate and the definition of a dialogue, because debate is a contest. It is structured format contest. I'm just want to make sure.
What's the point of a debate?
It's literally a contest of performance.
To do what?
It's performing.
To do what?
It depends. If you're trying to compete to measure your merit in debate, then it's to win. If you're trying to get to a truth, generally you're not going to be so argumentative, but you're going to be more good faith. It all depends on the context of what's going on. If I'm going on Gibbs' debate show and we're in the semifinals, I'm not going on there to have a fucking conversation. Like, fuck that.
So you don't care if you actually deserve to win or if your argument has merit. You only care about whether you win or not.
Well, there's parts of your argument that might be good. There's parts of your argument that have merit, right? But you can't just say like I'm done because some.
But
of
if
it
you never
doesn't.
make an argument, then you never have to provide merit to win.
No,
He does make an argument on some things, though, right?
What argument does he make?
I mean, I think his argument here against me improperly presenting Trump's fascist corporatism and how I think it's going to get there is a good move. I think the Italian fascism thing that we did, where I kind of brought them up, but immediately remembered that economic conditions, corporatism steering away from is the reason they became less fascistic. Those all have merit. He's a good debater. I mean, but you can't just expect him again. If I'm like 50 meters in front of him or he's 50 meters in front of me, you can't just really be like, well, the truth is now known. You should give up. That's just not. It's a contest.
No, then you migrate to the other parts of the debate where you disagree.
Well, that's pivoting. You just said that would be bad faith.
I didn't say that would be bad faith.
So if
I would say once you come to agreement on something,
is that bad
then you
faith?
move on to something else, right? You don't have to continue to beat the definitional dead horse because you don't have anything else to say other than trying to nitpick definitions that can't ever.
Well, that's
be
something you do on the fly. He
perfect
does
in the
actually
first
do
place.
this, right? If you remember earlier when we were talking about epistemic capture, he literally just concedes it and no one remembers it because he was very smart there. He knew that there's no way he could actually, fight me on the examples of Trump doing epistemic capture and was like, yeah, fine, let's move on. Let's move on. The Germany fascist thing, how many times have you heard that now? He's really good at doing exactly what you just said. He just makes him look strong when he does it, right? And
Yeah, when he does it, he's actually making an argument.
Well, no, he avoided those ones. He avoided those ones that he thinks he couldn't really do well in, and then he decided to argue on things that he thinks he could argue on. Like right now.
Yeah, for the epistemic capture, I looked that up, and isn't that when he started calling fake news? All his dissenters were fake news. Isn't that when he started epistemic capture?
Supreme Court justices or traitors, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He literally was like, I'm going to concede that. Let's move on.
Yeah, Trump
I don't
definitely
know.
does that.
This is how I usually debate, and I almost never lose. So it seems a little weird that everyone has to fucking argue from this point of I
There's a difference
don't
between,
have
like,
to show or
debating-
prove anything. Sorry.
Debating in like a casual setting though, and like a formal debate. Like I think I disagree with you, Alex. Like when I go on like Horseradish or Wick or Grid, right? It's like, yeah, there is rhetoric that's involved. There's you're not like working together to just build a discussion in a formal
Alex,
debate.
I've debated positions I do not hold in horseradish.
Yeah, I can.
Oh, yeah, I
because
love it.
because those positions have some merit, even if they're not what you really believe.
right?
But I could
They have
actually
holes in them,
think
sure,
that most
but
of
they
it's
have some
wrong, right?
merit.
Am I doing bad faith if I decide not to engage in what I think is wrong?
Not to engage. What do you mean? Like you?
Am I committing a bad faith move if I decide to not engage, like what Andrew's doing here with the corporatism thing, on a point I know I'm going to lose when I'm arguing like an entire topic I don't even agree with? Is that bad faith or is that strategic?
That's. I mean, you're by choosing not to engage with it, you're kind of just giving it a, yeah, this is probably not right.
I don't know.
I see that. I see that as like I see that as assenting to the fact that you have no merit.
It's a topic I don't even agree with, though, right?
I had to do a
Is that
wiki
entirely bad faith from
debate
the
saying
beginning,
that D&D was like promoting race realism. I didn't believe a single word I think I said in that entire debate, but they just needed someone to fill the spot. So I was like, okay, I'll give it my best shot.
But you don't provide the implication that you actually believe this, right? In the debate, you can make arguments that
I never said I didn't believe it. I mean, I was like full,
I'm not
full
saying
throttle trying to convince people that D&D was promoting race realism.
Yes,
I mean,
that's something different than saying that you believe in someone or in something, arguing.
So we can get back to the video,
then,
Alex. I just want to point out that I do understand what you're saying, and I feel like debate space online, because I've never had an experience on online debates before, but in real life I kind of do. But I do think it's somewhat negative to think that because of the amount of influence these debates do have, and the fact that the general public doesn't understand that debates are not dialogues, there is an argument to be made that it can be a little bit negative. But I don't think we should just like think of debate differently because it is a contest, because the general public can't understand it. Maybe presenting it could be different, but I do understand what you're trying to say. It's just not something that we should hold ourselves accountable for because we're doing a contest.
This is the last thing I want to say about this. There's no like contest or sport in the world where you lose or win, or rather you win by simply preventing the opponent from accomplishing a goal. You have to do something yourself to win.
No.
What about the end of Squid Games?
Bro, are you watching football?
Which games?
Defenses win games all the fucking time. Without their
not without an offense to actually score something.
A defense can win a game by itself, bro.
I've seen offenses score 0 points and like there's like 28 on the board because of pick sixes and shit. You're smoking crack.
Say that again. Oh, hold on. If you never make a goal, if you never score, can your defense win the game for you?
Yes.
Or is that a draw?
Get a turnover. Defense can get a turnover.
They can intercept that ball, run that bitch into the end zone, pick six.
You're talking about scoring now, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's defense.
So if you never score in the game, if all you do is block the other person from progressing, do you win?
Alex,
you had no offense.
Alex,
you had no offense. Exactly. You can win the game by blocking
rounds
them.
of chess. In Armageddon rounds of chess, if you draw, you win. So if you're playing, you just gotta get a draw and then you win. Even though you just did nothing, you didn't score any points, you just drew and you still win.
Why? What is it?
Checkmate, atheist.
What is the Armageddon round of chess?
Actually.
What's different about it than regular chess?
It happens at the end when it's been like they're like keep tying, and so they do a round called Armageddon where one guy gets less time, and so the other advantage of the other guy is all he has to do is draw. He just has to hold out, and then he wins if he gets a draw.
I gotta go.
He has less time on the clock.
How do they choose who gets the less time? It's just random.
They do a bidding war of like an unknown bidding war. So they'll like one guy will say I want 7, one says like 6 minutes, and whoever gets less, then yeah. It's an interesting concept. But we'll keep going because I only got 15 minutes left. So we'll see how much we can get
which companies can or can't operate in Canada. They're fascist.
That's institutionalized bargaining. That is not state authorized and completely.
How is that not state authorized?
Because general corporatism is what you just described.
That's not what I asked you. I asked about state authorization. How's that not state authorized, like you just said?
Institutionalized and state authorized are two different things. State institutionalized bargaining happens in democratic welfare countries, dude.
What does state authorization mean?
State authorization is different than institutionalized bargaining.
What does it mean?
What tripartite institutionalized bargaining means that there is a government.
No, authorization. What is state
bargaining
authorization
between the labor and companies? In state authorization, there is no bargaining.
Yeah. Okay. So
in Italian fascism, there was no bargaining.
So all you're saying. So you're saying that the distinction here is that you're allowed to bargain for the best position, and then the state authorizes
with
you.
labor and companies.
I
With
see.
labor and companies.
Yeah, I see. So the thing is, though, is that let's just say that the state didn't do that, or only one person applies, right? They're the only person who even has a price to apply, and the state authorizes that. Is that fascism or not?
No, that's institutionalized bargaining.
Okay, got it. So the thing is that even if it was the case, do autocracies do this all the time? And is that corporatism? No, it's
I'm
not.
trying to expand your definition even more, so it's more worthless. What are you trying to
How
do?
did I expand my definition more?
Because you're accepting now that corporatism is kind of existing here, and you want to make it bigger. So again, corporatism exists in democratic welfare countries. That's why it doesn't work, Andrew.
Wait a second. So this is corporatism?
I think what Trump is doing is corporatism, yes.
No. In Canada, that's corporatism?
Yes, democratic welfare states do corporatism. They don't do fascist corporatism, though. If you knew that, you probably don't, actually.
So give me the easy delineation then with the fascist corporatism.
Sure. Again, fascist corporatism is going to be the state authorized suppression of independent labor organizations. Sorry.
Too bad you didn't have the whiteboard here, Searka. Skill issue.
So we won't fuck it up. So generic fascism is going to be the interest representation of labor and state, labor companies and state through tripartite. Okay. And then the Italian state is going to be like formal syndicate cooperations integrated into state governance explicitly at the constitutional level. So that means they're like state authorized companies that exist. It's like they give a private space to them.
Hang on. Did you just say specifically at the constitutional levels?
That's what Mussolini did.
Yeah. And so can you show me where Trump's doing that?
Constitutional levels doesn't mean constitution itself or legislative. You're just conflating what the United States.
I'm just asking you how it's even constitutional at constitutional levels with Trump.
We don't say in fascist Italy, is it constitutional like that?
I didn't ask you that.
You kind of just implied it.
Okay, what does constitutional in this sense mean then?
Constitutional in the sense just means governmental, as in like because constraint breaking is what is necessary, like Mussolini did. He broke, and once he gained power, he explicitly wrote into his governance that this would exist. It wasn't corporatism anymore. Okay, now Trump
got it.
is doing it through executive order. That is literally constitutionally changing the government. Now, it's not the Constitution itself. It's not an amendment if that's what you're trying to play the game in. But
I'm not trying to equivocate. I'm trying to not equivocate by using unambiguous language. That's why I ask you what you mean by a thing that you say. So just to make sure that I got this correct, Trump is doing fascism because he has Trump RX, which is a pharmaceutical company designed to save people money.
There's more.
Okay, what else?
Okay,
we'll do one at a time.
You know, his CMS or with fucking what's the guy's name? Fucking the brainworm guy, Robert. They're doing this new platform where they are doing healthcare related information so people can take their healthcare personal information and go to doctors, correct? Trump is essentially doing something similar like Trump
Confluence.
He's
Can you pause it?
Hey, if you join this,
something really important here that I think a lot of people may want to know is whenever someone asks me for policy on these things, the reason I keep saying that it's gatekeeping behind capture stage is because simply being a member of the government or like Trump being president does not mean he can literally do fascist things yet, like the end state capture. Mussolini, for instance, famously was part of the upper government, or at least a member of the upper government, until I want to say 1918 to 1921, I want to say. And then over time, he consolidated different roles of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and so on and so forth. But it wasn't until 1925 that Mussolini technically solidified his control. So that's 3 years after he was kind of the president. So anyone who wants me to say wants me to prove that Trump needs to literally be doing end state, gatekeeping, capture stage things, I think just doesn't really understand fascism. And my whole point of this debate is not to wait until it is too late, like my opening and closing say, which is why I know it's a hard debate. But
I get what you mean, but I mean, I guess, do you think Trump was just incompetent in his first term? Do you think he didn't have enough loyalists? Do you think he just wasn't a fascist then?
He didn't have the experience yet, and there wasn't enough people who were willing to do the constraint breaking he wanted. But Trump, in my opinion, I would have called him someone who represents a fascist idea back then, but there's no way I would have this debate then. Absolutely not. It would be impossible. I think
so. It's only second-term Trump that you think is, going a little off the rails.
Really, yeah, he's doing a lot of constraint breaking for sure. This is close to the end state capture stuff, and I don't know the future. I can't predict that. I don't think he'll be Hitler, right? Because It's pretty. Most fascism, products did not do the whole racial purification thing like fucking crazy. Hitler took that to the extreme. Like Mussolini, for instance, didn't even want to do World War II. Right when he was brought in, he essentially like looked at Hitler and was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Right? He thought like the racial purification of Hitler's Nazism was a little weird. He didn't even put his first race laws until like 1936. It was the anti-Slavic ones or whatever. So it has different products, right? And the reason I'm like kind of trying to have this debate is because even though fascism is appealing, it's dangerous because of what it can end up becoming, because of the ideas about the organism and the purification stuff. But I can't prove end state gate capturing stuff. That is just not possible. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, no, I understand, because then that would have already happened. So I get it. You're looking for a diagnosis.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Trump
favors,
Trump
right?
is.
But ultimately, they're going to be subordinate to him.
What favors?
Invest their money.
What? Yeah. No. What favors are they
I
getting?
did this better. Political favoring. That doesn't mean it doesn't mean like they're getting.
What political favors are they getting?
Are you expecting hand jobs or what?
What political favors are they getting?
Political alignment. So like Trump is essentially giving them private exclusive access, denying the actual market because these people are willing to capitulate to him. That's what happened in fascist Italy.
So private. So wait. I'm sorry. These are private organizations who are by their own free will doing this, not being compelled by the state to do this.
Mussolini also gave free will to the companies that he was.
No, he also did a compellence.
After he captured the state.
He also did a compellence. So the thing is like what's really funny here, right? What we're trying to get to is the heart of this. Is like nobody's being compelled here. You're talking about private companies which are willing to work in unison with the state.
If they leave,
so what?
Do you think Trump will punish them?
I mean, maybe, depending on what they're doing.
Has he had a history of doing that?
I don't know for these particular companies.
You seriously don't know? Trump has quite a long history of being extremely petty and revengeful. Retribution is his thing.
So you're saying that Trump is going to these companies and saying either you join or else I'm going to do bad things to you?
No, he literally brought them into the White House and pointed at them and went, how much are you investing? And publicly, because that's what fascists like to do, because they're showing public, favoring. That's how you fucking subordinate them.
Say that properly.
And there's Mark Zuckerberg going, we invested $200 billion next year. And what do you think that does to the private market?
So PR?
You think that's PR?
Literally, yes.
Okay,
just PR. Literally.
Seems to me like a little bit of a coercive process. I mean, why don't you just let
What's
the
coercive
private
about
market
it?
do it?
First of all, how do you compel did he compel them under law to go to the White House?
No.
No.
He offered them a safe.
Wow, that's crazy.
He offered them a safe little syndicate away from other private companies.
Wait, that's crazy. So Trump, hang on, Trump, hang on. Just let me make sure. I just want to make sure I got it right. Let me make sure I got it right. So Trump says, hey, if you want to, you can come down to the White House, right? And then we can have a public discussion about this because it would probably be really good for your PR. And I want you to start investing more in the nation. And even though there's no coercion here, you can come in or go as you will. That somehow has anything at all to do with corporatism in Mussolini's fucking fascist state. Are you serious?
I mean, it does by definition, because if they leave, they lose access.
It's just marketing.
They lose access to that market.
Who's forcing them? Who?
I just told you they lose access to the market. If
they did,
leave.
how? How would they lose access to the market?
Because the only people who can actually do the CMS next generation digital health ecosystem are going to be the companies he chooses.
They can compete against that absence being part of that system. What are you talking about?
Trump has already set the groundwork.
Prove it. Show me that nobody can
be voluntary platform government.
Good to see you, Cool Vic. And actually, I was just asking him the same question. He said he wouldn't have had this debate during Trump's first term. And he was saying that he didn't think Trump had the political experience or the amount of people that were loyal enough to kind of do what he wanted to do. But he said I can't remember exactly how he framed it, but he said that Trump had maybe fascist tendencies or, the early stages of fascism. But he said he wouldn't have had this debate. I don't know if he would have called Trump a fascist then. And I don't know if he was correcting lefties when they were saying.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. So Searka, the question is, when lefties were saying Trump was a fascist during his first term.
True.
Okay.
Because you can't.
Someone check his Twitter.
You can see the foundation of actually no. Even the mobilizing passion stuff. It's hard to observe the manifestation. Like the imbuement. Fascism historically is a very slow process, even though it seems like it's fast. It is not. It is an accumulation of a bunch of things, and I don't know if I could have confidently said that back in 2019 or 2017, 2018. People who did, I would tell them they're wrong.
So is it based on the continued rhetoric and new things he's done in his second term?
I think because of the way I look at fascism, the fascist minimum is not enough. It's just the underlying base part that all fascist movements start from. So the myth part, I believe that you have to look at the other works of other fascist scholars to try and identify the framework, see if, like Emilio Gentili, for instance, all of them kind of work together in a way, because Griffin gives you that fascist minimum, the birth, the origin story. Paxton will help you understand the historical reference of how you can see the myth being formed. Emilio Gentili will tell you a lot about the movement itself and how the Paxton history can be fused with the myth and movement, because he writes a lot about the sacralization of fascist Italy, right, in the political liturgy. So he helps you understand the movement itself and why so many people wanted it, because a lot of argumentation today, I think, fails to understand how to make that known, or like try and present that opinion, because most people will just say fascism bad, fuck you, you're Hitler or something, right? And I will never do that, because I think it's just a disservice, because there's a reason, right? There is a reason that so many people wanted fascism. And just because World War II happened and Hitler like killed 80 million people or caused the death, doesn't really get rid of the whole idea that the whole world wanted fascism, really, and communism.
That is crazy. I had a question about.
Well, I have a hard out right now. So I'm gonna be going over this tomorrow night. Searka, if you're around, I feel like this was fun and profitable. This is it's a lot better, I think, to be able to pause and then ask you to explain your points instead of us trying to guess what they are. So
yeah,
if you are free,
Andrew wins this
fun.
little section here, by the way, for sure. He's winning this section hard, in my opinion.
All right. Yeah. So yeah. God bless you guys. There's no one to write into, so I guess I'll just end it. Good to see you, Zill. Good to see you, Tyler, and of course, good to see you, Searka. And God bless you, chat. Thanks for stopping by, and take care, everyone.